nasty on a Wednesday afternoon. I almost screwed that up again. Even we just went over it, too. Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, and the Carey Davis for his first, I shouldn't say it's his first go-around here in the fast lane. It's not quite official yet. We'll have an official show when we get our guy Anthony Stalter.
I'm looking forward to that.
Back here. Stalter's taking some time off, well-deserved. Got the young family, got kids everywhere, holiday season. Take that time off when you need it. And Carey will be joining us full-time starting in the new year. But it's good to have you here, buddy. How you doing?
I'm glad to be here. I clearly, it's so new to me. I've been walking around telling people good morning. I don't know what the day is.
They thought you were into Grandpa's cough syrup a little bit.
I don't know what time it is. I forgot to put my headphones on. I'm just here, man. I'm happy to be here.
How was the holiday?
It was good. I had a great time. Kids had a great time. You know, that's the most important thing is the kids enjoying themselves, getting enough gifts, having all of the gifts that their hearts desire, and them having fun. And then you have fun watching them go through all of that. So it was good for me. They had an outstanding time, and so did I. So
now, Carey, I know it's going to be an adjustment for you. I know that you love getting up at 5:30 in the morning.
There's nothing I love more
right?
than that.
Yeah. But there is going to be an adjustment, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But you've been coaching high school football for a long time now, and now you're moving on from that, at least for the time being. Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
It is. It's a transition, and it was really hard telling my kids that I was not going to be back next year, because I truly love them like they are my own children. Would do pretty much anything for them. So not being there with them is a tough task for me. But I understand, and they understand that other things come up in life, and you have to make transitions. And this is a transition for me. It's going to be a transition for them as well. But I will always be available for them to call, text, email, whatever the case may be, to reach out to me, because those are my guys. So
it's funny how that works, because there's still kids that I see on a regular basis that I coached way back when. Yeah. The funniest part for me was I went down to visit my daughter at Mizzou before she graduated, and it was like the last night I was going to be there. So we go out to the Harpo's thing and having some fun with my daughter, her friends, her boyfriend. Yeah. And then I'm seeing a bunch of kids coming, "Hey, Coach Rivers!" And I'm like, oh my God, I coach these guys.
That's awesome.
And then, they're still talking, and now there's a number of them that work for me now with Synergy Hockey.
Right.
But I watch them, develop as young hockey players, and now they're men.
Yeah.
They're in college or in the business world and doing all this stuff, but they always still get coach. Hey, coach.
That's one of the. I mean, next to dad, the coach, being called coach is one of the best names you can have, because you had an impact on a young person's life. So I definitely love that they still call, and that they will always be reaching out to me years from now.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And look, if we're sticking with the coach theme, the Blues with a new coach, they're 4-1 under Drew Bannister.
Pretty good.
Not bad. Yeah. The couple of things that I think jump off the page for me is the full 60-minute efforts. And it's not like, and I've had to put this disclaimer out there so many times, this is not a Craig Berube versus Drew Bannister conversation. This is a St. Louis Blues team that were not responding, and now it looks a little different 5 games in.
Well, when people start losing their jobs, that tends to happen. I mean, you've been a professional athlete. I tell people this all the time. It's hard to fire multiple players or multiple people. And unfortunately for Craig Berube, he ended up being the one that lost his job. But it is a message to everyone in there, like, oh, if you don't get your bleep together, it's going to be, it's nice knowing you. It's been good while you're here, but we're going to move in a different direction. And as a professional athlete, it's unfortunate that it took that jump start, but it has been a jump start for this team, and you're seeing them playing at a much better, much higher level. And I think just the amount of energy and effort that they're showing for a full 60 minutes instead of 20 here or 20. I mean, you're watching it every single night, so you know better than most. It's just the effort, I think, is a good thing to see right now.
Yeah, and I think it's something Craig Berube would be proud of.
Yeah.
That's the thing. His Chief's not sitting at home right now with a voodoo doll trying to make the St. Louis Blues not win hockey games. But, but sometimes people get that vision, right? Oh, he must be like anti-Blues. He's not. Is he pissed off because he wasn't able to fulfill his contractual duty? Yeah, of course he is. He's a competitive dude.
Right.
But he wants to see this team play well, and they've been very consistent. The Tampa Bay game was a tough one, but if that's the only bleep on the radar so far, I mean, you're doing pretty good. And you look at the game the other night, Carey, they had every reason to just pack up the tent and just be like, okay, you know what? Holiday time. I got friends in town. I got family. I got the bourbon. I've got the beer on ice. screw it. We're just going to go out. But they didn't.
A couple of days before Christmas, let's just get out of here.
Yeah.
We're down 3 goals.
No,
it's the
let's
third
not get
period.
hurt.
You know what? We got family. You said family's here. Let's go do that. And I was asking you earlier, that's the best game of the season.
Oh, by far.
Hands down. Because to be down 3 goals in the third period, to claw your way back, to just get within a goal, score that goal, and then put 2 more on there, that to me is probably, like you said, Craig Berube is probably sitting at home clapping his hands like that's what I wanted from this team, and that's what I expected from these guys.
Games like that are difference makers.
Yeah.
Like, this, being down a touchdown or 2 touchdowns in fourth quarter,
Yep.
and you rally back to win that game, no matter who the opponent is. And people can make the argument, well, it's the Blackhawks, they're not all that great. Fine. They were still up 5-2.
Right.
They were still up 3 goals on you, and they're a rival team.
Yeah.
So it counts. There's a little more gravy.
It matters.
100% it matters.
It matters.
So you come back and you win that game. And I asked Drew Bannister this morning, just down at the rink, I said, what kind of an impact can that have on your team now moving forward? Because they know now that the comeback is real. They can do it. They did it. Now they're playing Dallas Stars tonight, which they just played them not too long ago, and they were down 2-0 in that game. Came back and won that game. Now you go to the last game before the break. They're down by 3 goals, come back and win that game. So now this is something that they've been able to do a couple of times where that wasn't present earlier in the season. So he just said it can have a massive impact on the group. It just shows them that you're never out of a game and to keep plugging away.
You know this. Confidence is something that when you have it, it's like the miracle thing in a locker room. But when you don't have it, when you don't have confidence or belief in what you're capable of doing, nothing seems to go right. And winning a game like that gives you a lot of confidence. It gives you the mindset. Sometimes you have to actually see it to believe it. They saw it. They were down 3 goals, and they were able to claw their way back in and win that game. Now, hopefully, there's a belief there. Hey, we can play in any style. We can come back. We can beat you from the beginning to end, or we can fight our way back into a game if need be. We've done it a couple of times in the last few games. Let's keep playing this way. It's more fun to win.
Really? I never knew that, Carey. Wow.
It's terrible. Listen, losing impacts your quality of life.
It does.
I coach.
We say to leave that at the field or leave it at the rink. It's not possible.
They say losing is a disease.
It is. Listen,
it's a bad one, too.
I was coaching a team some years back, and we won. I was the offensive coordinator. I don't think we scored a touchdown like the last 5 weeks of the season. And I was physically ill. I went to the doctor to ask, I'm sick. I've been sick for almost a month and a half. What's wrong? Ran tests. There's nothing wrong with you. Oh, I'm sick of losing. I'm just sick from losing football games. It will ruin. It'll impact your life, man, and it's tough. So winning games definitely is an elixir for feeling better in life.
Do you guys take more stock in the comeback or the fact that they did go? They gave up 5 goals to the Blackhawks. Like, yes, they came back and won that game, and that's a good feeling. You can take that and move forward with it. But, can you afford to do that against teams that are better than the Blackhawks?
No, you can't. Obviously, you don't want to do it. It's not ideal. But
Right.
if I'm the coaching staff, I'm not focused on that.
Right. You're looking at the positives, and then you just move forward from
Building blocks as you keep climbing.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it because, a month ago, you were done. That game would end up 6-2 or 7-2, possibly.
Sure. Yeah.
And you didn't do that this time.
Yeah.
You didn't fold up like a cheap suit. You got back and you fought back. And your power play, which has been abysmal pretty much, all season long for that matter, gets 2 goals for you. And it just goes to show you, just how important power play goals are. If they don't score again on the power play against the Blackhawks in that game, they don't win.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Yeah. But 2 consecutive power play goals reels it into a 1-goal game, and now all the momentum is on your side. This is why coaches are gray. This is why coaches are bald. And this is why some coaches drink an awful lot.
Yes.
It's because of little things
you
like
said,
that.
Both of look at me.
Carey, don't take it personal.
I had a handful of hair when I started, and my beard was black.
I'm there right now. I got like 12 hairs left on my head, and they're all white. Okay?
It is a stressful job. No matter what level you're coaching them at, it's a tough job. And to come back and win that game now, I'm sure they watched film and said, hey, now we can't do this. We can't allow ourselves to get down like this because against better teams, it's going to be harder to come back in those games. But to get the win is more than good enough especially before the holidays. That had to feel great.
It was a must, and I can tell you, being down at the rink this morning for a pregame skate, there was a good buzz. Good buzz on the ice. Guys are snapping the puck around. Power play looked great in practice. I know this is crazy, but I've watched a lot of that power play practice this year without scoring on their own team.
Really?
When your own team really isn't trying to block shots, they're not. They don't want to get hit. They don't. They're competing, but they're not.
Yeah.
Like when you're running your offense against the dummy defense, they're like competing, but they don't want to hurt any of the starters.
It's not live. We're thud.
100%.
Our tempo is what we call it.
But they scored a couple of goals this morning. Looked pretty good. Spirits are high. Talking to the guys afterwards, seemed like they're in a good headspace. Drew Bannister got to see his family over the holidays, which has been separated for a while, just by distance. Obviously not separated.
Right.
I mean, some of us it's a little more real than others. But however, he got to see his family. Great article in The Athletic. Jeremy Rutherford had a great article on Drew Bannister and his family. So won't you click on that? Get to know your new head coach as he and the Blues take on the Stars tonight. And we'll get into that more. We'll talk about Joel Hofer, who's getting the start here for the Blues. We're going to talk some NFL. I got Carey Davis in the house here, and I like to get the blood pressure up a little bit. So when we come back here, we're going to do a little Are You Sold? That's Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh. It's 101 ESPN. on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh here today. Anthony Stalter out enjoying some good family time. Marshy, it's time for Are You Sold? What do you got
All
for
right,
us?
gentlemen, are you sold that Russell Wilson has played his final snap with the Denver Broncos?
Hang on, this is the one I wanted to get Carey his take on. Couple of things. One, yes, I'm sold. He's played his last snap, that's for sure. But two, how awful is this by the Broncos? That one, I don't think Russell Wilson's any good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying, man, that guy shouldn't lose his job. But he has to play 2 more games to reach a bonus, correct? Or a guarantee?
Yeah.
And the team with 2 games left is boning him on it.
Yeah. Well, that happens.
But how? Okay, so what's the backlash for that?
So it's part of the game, man. Like, it's unfortunate. I had a teammate who needed, I want to say 12 more yards for like $100,000, and they pulled him out of the game. And I was like, bro, you can go get those carries. Go ahead. Come on. The hell with that.
No kidding.
Yeah, those things do happen.
Joel Quenville was here, and a number Dave Lewis when I was in Detroit. Like, I've played for coaches that made sure.
Yeah, you have something to do.
Like in Detroit, I was there. I played 50 games that year. I needed to play 50 games to reach a bonus. Mm-hmm. And it's no secret, I was a depth guy in Detroit. Like, a locker room full of Hall of Famers, right? Well, everybody became healthy again for like the last 2 games of the season, and I needed 2 games played. And Dave Lewis comes up to me and he's like, hey, man, I'm really sorry. We just got everybody healthy. You got to get everybody going before the playoffs start. And I was like, hey, man, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, so Detroit Red Wings had a chance to win a Stanley Cup.
Correct.
Like, hey, I get it. He goes, nah, I'm just kidding.
No way.
Yeah, he goes, no, we're going to get you your bonus.
That's
and all
awesome.
stuff. And then when here with the Blues, Mark Bergevin, who is still,
The Burger Van?
The Burger Van is still a great dude. I saw him not too long ago. Still just an awesome individual. I needed 1 game to reach a plateau for a bonus, and I was just a young kid. The game owed me nothing at that point. I can tell you that much. And Bergie walked in, said to the training room, says, I can't go. Says, my groin is tweaked a little bit. I can't go.
That's awesome.
He could play.
Yeah.
And he came over and he's like, hey, kid, don't worry. You're going to get that bonus.
That's awesome.
I never forgot that.
That's the great teammates, great coaches.
So that's where I see, back to your point.
Well, yeah, that happens. There's both sides of it. And am I sold on Russell Wilson not playing? Yes. I think if you go to this point, they've lost a few in a row, and he hasn't looked great. You know what I mean? All season long, even when they were on that 5-game. No. And then there was also, I don't know if you all saw this, the blow-up that they had on the sideline where Sean Payton was screaming at Russell Wilson. This was a couple of weeks ago. It was really telling. I don't know what the hell Russell did, because I'm trying to find him. I didn't see anything that was so egregious that would cause him. Maybe it was a delay of game that he got, but it didn't feel like that was warranted. So yeah, I think he's in Denver Broncos, and unfortunately, because he hasn't played great this season or last season, he may be relegated to the role of a backup if he's anywhere else.
Oh, I don't think about that.
He's not going to be a
Look at how many
starter.
crappy teams are out there with terrible
But here's
quarterbacks.
the thing. He can be a backup. It's been like 55 quarterbacks that have started a game this year. So
that's what I'm
he'll
saying.
still play, but he'll probably start the season as someone's backup.
But why would he? At this point, he's 36 years old. He's made a boatload of money. He's won a Super Bowl.
You want to keep playing.
He loves doing high knees, though, so that might, he loves doing that on the airplane.
It's a legacy
and
thing,
staying up 22 hours.
His
training.
legacy?
Yeah.
At this point, your legacy can plummet, too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like right
it
now.
already has.
I know, but if you keep it's like quicksand. Once your career starts to go downward and you're plummeting, and you keep trying to hang on, your career just keeps getting worse.
Well, look at Joe Flacco, though.
Yeah, but Joe Flacco, the expectations were never there.
Joe Flacco is not a name that I would say.
Well,
I would be pointing at as that's the guy. Him.
Well, he's not the guy.
I mean, Joe Flacco.
But maybe Russell Wilson can try and raise his stock
Maybe.
up. I don't know. We saw the same thing last year with Derek Carr, though, in Vegas.
Yeah, Derek Carr is another.
Well, that's another name that,
Terrible example.
No, I know. But no, what I'm saying
Keep
is,
swinging, Marshy.
the Las Vegas Raiders, they sat him for the final couple of games, and then he was on the outs.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. The same thing happens to Russ.
I think after watching Derek Carr, I actually thought Derek Carr was going to have a much better success than he has had in New Orleans.
He's been
I thought he was
terrible.
better than than what he's been. I don't know that Russell will go somewhere and be the starting quarterback from day one if they were to let him go, or if they were. I don't think they'll be able to find a trade. Yeah. Well,
don't you think that's like part of a losing culture though? If there are teams and like front office people and even the coach that they don't want those players to get those bonuses, do you think
I hate it. I hate it.
I feel like that's a losing culture.
If you're like, I know it's $37 million. So it's not a drop in the bucket.
No.
I get it. Okay, it's not the $25,000 I was promised. Taxed too. Okay, it wasn't any of that stuff. But it is a culture thing, man.
Yeah.
It shows that the team, like, here's the way I look at it. If the team put it in the contract, if they okayed it and they signed that contract knowing full well that that player could reach that achievement,
right,
then you honor it.
You should.
Because if you were right on the cusp of the playoffs, you wouldn't think about the $37 million.
Correct.
You'd be like, nah, let's get that playoff money.
Yeah.
Let's, like, you know what I'm saying?
And if you got that much money on the line, or it could be $25,000, it could be $100,000, and you intentionally keep me from receiving my money, the discussion is not going to be polite when we. It might be a physical altercation.
BS move.
Yeah. So I understand why they did. They're not going anywhere. They have been struggling, these last 4 weeks.
Did they move on from Sean Payton?
No. He's good. He'll be okay.
I'm just asking, Carey. Can't get rid of all the players. You
can't.
I mean, we talked about that already.
You can get rid of this one. Seems like they've already made that decision.
Oh, man, have they ever?
All right, guys, are you sold on the Cards ramping things back up after the holiday break in terms of the offseason moves?
So what would you classify ramping it up? Because I feel like they've closed out the starter doors.
Have they though?
I hope not.
I hope not too, Carey.
I hope not.
But the only thing that could happen is a trade, right? Because they're not going to open up the checkbook again at this point, and all of a sudden Montgomery is making 175 to 200 million. That ain't happening. Could they open up the discussions again of a trade? Yeah, they could. They also have the bullpen that they want to address a little bit too. So I think the Cardinals will be active. I don't think John Mozeliak is going to sit at home, kick his feet up, and be like satisfied. I think he has a small amount of money left probably that he can spend, or find money via trade by sending money out and bringing money in. But I can't imagine that Mo and the DeWitts are sitting there going, hey, that's great, we're fine now.
I don't think so either. I think they still, as you said, have some holes to fill, bullpen specifically. I like the lineup. I think, second year with some of those guys being more comfortable. I talked about this all season long. One of the things that frustrated me was the changing of positions and where you were batting every single day. It's like coming to the ballpark and, Russian roulette. Where am I going to be at today? I don't know. I'm batting eighth. I was batting second yesterday. How did you figure this out? I didn't pull names out of a hat. It works. So I thought that was problematic for them last season. So hopefully there's some consistency there. And then you figure out maybe. I've been on the Dylan Cease train for a long time, hoping that they were to make a trade. Now, obviously, you're going to have to lose something.
You got to give to get.
You got to give something up to get something good. So will they be willing to do that? I think that they should, but will they? I don't know that they will.
Yeah.
Are you guys sold that the team that finally loses to the Detroit Pistons will be the most embarrassing loss of the season?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just
NBA team still. They're an NBA team.
I lost track of how bad the Pistons were.
I did see a video of them in pregame shoot-around, and none of them made a basket.
For like 30 seconds.
I thought that was a joke.
Not one ball.
I thought it was one of those, those tampered videos.
Where it was like that 30 seconds. Yeah, not one ball went in. He's like, okay, well, that's
not even by accident.
No.
Do you remember the NBA Christmas commercial where all of them are shooting and it makes the jingle bells? This is like the anti-Christmas commercial.
It was the complete opposite.
Okay, so here though, guys, honestly, can they still make the playoffs? No. They're 2-28 right now with a 27-game losing streak. Who the hell have they beaten this year?
That's the question. And maybe that's who you look for to get the next win.
Okay, so
the team you've already beaten.
Well, it doesn't go back far enough for that. Honestly,
they won. Oh, they haven't won a game since before Halloween.
There it is. They beat Charlotte and Chicago.
So when is Charlotte on the schedule again?
Yeah, Chicago. They got them earmarked.
Charlotte, January 24th.
There we go. There it is. That's their next win. How bad is Charlotte?
I saw a graphic that the Arizona Diamondbacks have won a World Series game more recently than the Detroit Pistons have won a basketball game.
That's crazy.
And when I talk to like this type of losing, when you go home, you are not a good person. You can't be.
I think the opposite.
Physically ill.
So I think the opposite. I think they're losing like this because those guys are okay with it.
They're just like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm getting paid.
Oh,
That's why.
I would be.
Carey, 27 in a row, that takes effort.
I wouldn't be a good teammate in this point.
It takes effort to lose that many games in a row.
Yeah, it does. I wouldn't be a good teammate at this point.
No.
I would be a terrible person to be around
I'd
in
be
that locker
awful
room.
in practice, especially if I see guys dogging it, and then they go
elbow to the face. Yeah, come get him, trainer. He needs help. Yeah, hi.
I'd be burning guys' shoes in the locker room.
All right, last one here. Are you sold that Joel Hofer can replicate his performance that he had against Florida tonight against the Dallas Stars?
You know what, Marshy? Let's hang on to that.
Okay.
Let's get into that on the flip side here. With Carey Davis, Jamie Harris, Andrew Marsh, we're going to talk about Joel Hofer getting the start tonight and Jordan Binnington not getting the start, what that means for the Blues and what that means for Joel Hofer here on 101 ESPN.
Cheap, fun.
Ooh, the weather's cold outside. I'm looking at it right now, snowing. Just want to get home, kick up my feet, and have that nice glass of bourbon that I purchase at Dirt Cheap because they are your one-stop party shop. They've got everything for you. The great selections in beer, wine, and all your favorite spirits. We talk about bourbon. I talk about it all the time. It's my favorite thing. Dirt Cheap's got me covered. By the way, don't let the name Dirt Cheap fool you. That's the prices, not the product. I have a nice bottle of Angel's Envy finished rye. Picked that up at Dirt Cheap. Walked in, they had it for me. Knew I was coming because I called ahead. You know, that's how it works. But just an awesome group of people over there. And the app is awesome. Get on there, download the app. There's more savings, there's discounts, there's specials, there's clubs to be a part of. You can even place an order online and pick it up on your way home. And some of the locations have a drive-through, which makes it really easy for you, especially during these holiday times when things are, you know, a little busy, a little crazy for you out there. So please get out there to your favorite Dirt Cheap location. Tell them that Jamie Rivers sent you in. They're going to love to hear that. And enjoy everything that Dirt Cheap has to offer. And in this holiday season, remember to have fun, but be careful out there.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Dallas Stars. Pregame starts at 6 o'clock. Puck drop is at 7. You can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. We'll talk with Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider from The Athletic, at 4:30, so stay tuned for that. Once again, Blues Stars pregame at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Joel Hofer will be between the pipes tonight for the Blues. We're going to dive into his start coming up next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh. The Blues play tonight. They got the Dallas Stars. Big game. First game following the break. They had a few days off after a big victory. And the Blues, Carey, coming back out of the break, starting Joel Hofer between the pipes.
How do you feel about that?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I don't mind it. It's a little bit of surprise. And so let's just speak openly here. I mean, nobody's listening anyways, right?
Pay attention.
It's a little interesting because usually when you have a 2 or 3 day break like the Blues have had, you go back to your number one guy.
Right.
But one thing the Blues have talked about openly in the offseason leading up to the season is making sure that Jordan Binnington is getting the required amount of rest this year, because last year with Thomas Greiss, he did not get that rest. Yeah. And you could see that it was wearing on him, and it started to wear on his game. Mm-hmm. And Jordan Binnington, without Jordan Binnington, you probably don't have as many wins as you do, especially early on this season. He was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And the last handful of starts, he's been 3 goals or more, which is not ideal.
Is that fatigue, or is that just the teams or how the games kind of play
weird,
out?
Right?
Is it all of
it? So you count one of the 5 goals in there as a Michigan goal. He ain't stopping that.
No, that was a hell of a goal.
But it's a goal. It counts, right? And some of the other ones that happen where there's a rebound, goes a guy with a wide open net. Goal counts.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. It's on his record, on his resume, or his stats. So I was a little surprised with that. But then when you go back and you look at Joel Hofer, you know, how he's played most recently in Florida, that game in Florida where he ends up giving up a goal, but it hit the metal partition as he was going back to play. So he really didn't give up the goal, but it ended up being a goal.
Right.
So he technically didn't get a shutout, but when you look at it,
he played really well.
The Panthers themselves didn't shoot the puck past Joel Hofer.
You got to stay in the net, Jamie.
You do. Pavel Buchnevich said it the best. He said if he would have stayed in his net, he had a shutout. A man of very few words, but right to the point.
There you go.
So I'm not really surprised, and I would imagine it would go Hofer, Binnington, Hofer. So you get Binnington lined up to play against the Colorado Avalanche, and maybe this is the plan. Maybe you look at that and go, hey, look, we're probably really going to need Jordan Binnington against the Colorado Avalanche. Mm-hmm. Not that you don't need him against the Stars, but the Avalanche, they've got some guys who can put the puck in the net. Yeah. So maybe a well-rested Jordan Binnington comes up big in that game, and then you get Hofer to play, the second game of the back-to-back. I don't hate it. What do you think about it?
Well,
You're an outsider kind of looking in.
I do like going with your guy, right? I think if Jordan Binnington, and as you said, had a few days, they haven't played since the 23rd, so it's 4 days of rest, 3 or 4 days. You had that's a lot of time to regroup both mentally and physically. I would probably prefer it be Jordan Binnington, and I know he gave up the 5 goals, which, as I said, a few of them were iffy. But I think that he's been your guy, and he is your guy, and I like what he does. I like his aggressiveness and his ability to make big plays for this team. So I would probably say Jordan Binnington, but they know better than I do, and I tend to lean on the coaches in that regard and say they must know something that we don't know, and probably the pattern that you had is probably the right way that they're going to go about it.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot more that goes into it, and I know, look, Dave Alexander is the goaltending coach, and he's actually, you would love this guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is a psychopath.
That's my kind of guy.
I told him this morning, I said, you're one of my favorite psychopaths ever. And he is. He's all about goaltending and tendencies and trends and the most defining detail. Like he's in there. It's never off. The switch never goes off. Right. And so I could see him sitting down with the coaching staff and saying, hey, look, if we're mapping out games here where we have to find some starts for Joel Hofer in order to, pay off the whole thought process of resting Binnington, there's going to be games where they're big teams that you're playing against that Joel Hofer's going to have to carry the mail. Is
there a time where the goalie says, no, it's me, I'm going tonight? Do they give them that leeway? Is there a goaltender that can say, hey, now, I know this was the plan, but we need this and I need to be in there for this?
There could be. This is a little early in the season for that. And, there'd be no reason for Jordan Binnington to do that. Joel Hofer has played very well. He's been a good teammate, been a good partner. You don't want to necessarily ruffle all the feathers this early in the season, especially if it's kind of been a good working relationship. I think that if we're 5 games before the end of the season and you need these 2 points and you're kind of knocking at the door for a wild card spot,
then yes.
I think Jordan Binnington walking into the coach's office and saying, hey, listen, we're going to win or lose with me between the pipes.
Right.
And I think that's the time to do it,
But at some point, there would be a possibility that he could.
Could be.
Yeah, not him, but anybody. Anybody that has
player in general.
Like a veteran that's been there, done that. I like those guys.
Me too. Marshy, what's your thoughts on this? I know you had some thoughts here earlier today about it. I know you're a big Blues fan. What do you think?
I don't mind it at all. And to your point, he's going to have to play in these big games. And if for whatever reason he needs to be the guy, you want him playing against top-level teams, and I think it can only help him from a confidence standpoint. So I don't mind it at all, especially with the schedule that's coming up. You're going to need Joel Hofer, and that's the whole reason why you brought him in. You didn't bring some other guy in. You need Joel Hofer to play in big games like this, and I think it's a good idea. I didn't expect it when I saw the news that he'd be starting, but I don't mind it whatsoever.
Yeah, so we got a text here to the Air Comfort Service text line, which is available at any point. There we go, 314-399-9646 from the 314. It's a good question. Said, is the Hofer move possibly showcasing him or seeing if he can be a number one to trade Jordan Binnington? No, I don't believe that to be true.
I don't think so either. I think no. But at one point, there were some talks of him potentially being moved. I think it was to Edmonton. Was that the rumor?
That was the Edmonton media.
That was their rumor. That
was their wish list.
That they just threw out there and see what's
crazy. They just put stuff out there in the universe, and
somehow it becomes reality. It just takes a hold. Okay. I don't know that. I like Jordan Binnington. I love his intensity. I love the mindset that he plays with, and I think that he's your guy, obviously. And so I would hope that this is not an opportunity to showcase Hofer for him to be your main goaltender and Jordan Binnington be gone.
You need both of these guys.
Yeah.
You do. And if I'm looking at the goaltender pipeline, the Blues have a couple of prospect goalies coming, but they're nowhere near ready.
Yeah.
They're not. So what's your next move? So you trade Hofer.
Who are you going to have?
Now you end up with Binnington playing twice as many games again because you can't trust the guy he's with.
Yeah.
Okay, you trade Jordan Binnington. Now Joel Hofer has to speed track his development into being a number one. And what happens if he hits a bumpy road for a while?
You're going to struggle.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like putting an elevator in an outhouse. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Okay,
like
Carey?
Never heard that.
Yeah.
It's a new one.
Well, try. Think about it. Makes no sense at all, right?
None.
So trading one of those guys would not make any sense at all. And I stand by that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about with Jordan Binnington is we were talking about the Michigan goal.
Oh, man, I loved it.
I had a chance. I know you did.
You explained it to me, though. It made sense, so go ahead.
So I had a chance to just sit down and just speak openly with Jordan Binnington, not an interview format or anything, just kind of talking to him. And I said, how challenging is that, like, for the goalies? He's like, well, the goaltending position hasn't caught up to the Michigan move yet. And he said, because when the player's behind the net, at a certain point, there's a blind spot. He said, you're not an owl. Can't turn your head all the way around, right? So he says, and I have to assume that the player's going for a wraparound, which is a higher percentage play, meaning more players can make that move than the Michigan.
Yeah.
So he says, I have to protect the bottom of the net and make sure I get across, pad on the ice, and seal off the post. He goes, when I finally pick up where the puck is at, it's too late because he's got it scooped up in the air and he's pushing it past my ear, and I'm trying to throw my head over to get my face on it. So, he just said, look, the goaltenders are going to have to figure out something moving forward here where they pick up a towel from the player or they're able to cover that spot of the net a little quicker. But he says right now it's a very difficult thing.
It was a beautiful move. Hey.
Doesn't that come down to that defenseman that's supposed to be in front of the net? Like
There's no
He should be able to see. He
if
can see
anything,
it.
just chop at him and take a penalty.
No, so in essence, what has to happen is you got the two goalposts. And when a player goes behind the net, you're supposed to seal off the goalposts. So then if a player makes any kind of a play from there, it's fanning outward. So to a non-dangerous area. Protect the middle, have him make it to a non-dangerous area, either via pass or skating it out wide because you're there. So the Blues defensively, when you see a guy go down behind the net, the defensemen both have to seal off the post, and the low forward has to pick up the top of the crease so that there's nobody staying there alone. And that's how it works. But it happens fast. And the other night, the way Connor Bedard just kind of scooped that puck in motion. It's not like he sat there calling out the Omaha, Omaha.
It happened quickly.
It happened quickly.
And Jordan Benson posted a meme that I thought was hilarious because he was talking about how to defend the Michigan. You just got to stick your stick at him. Just hit him.
It has a young goalie skating over and just like spearing the player.
Well, we talked about Mike Legg doing it, and that's why it's called the Michigan. We talked about that yesterday.
Should be called the legger. Don't you think, Carey?
I like that better.
Mike Legg is the player, former teammate of mine, the very first guy to do it. But they don't call it the Mike Legg or the Legger. They call it the Michigan.
Did he go to Michigan?
He did, but it's the player, not the college.
You give it the legger. I like that.
Yeah.
The legger. The legger.
When he did it, he was like flat-footed, stood right behind the net, sort of like what Gretzky would do, and he then got down and then did it, whereas this was just in stride, like you said, like that's tough to stop. Whereas if the player's just standing behind the net and tries it, then maybe, the defenseman can call it out, like watch it or whatever.
It's a tough play, man.
But it doesn't happen all the time. That's why we don't see it all the time.
Like, how many times does that happen a year? Once, twice?
Oh,
that move?
Well, that happened
you
twice
have
in the same night.
Well, you have success for him, though.
Same night.
Really?
Another player, Trevor Zegras, scored the same goal.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Same night.
I didn't see that one.
These two young, talented guys just making the NHL their playground.
That's awesome.
Goodness me. All right, we're going to get into some NFL stuff. I want to, before I leave at 4 o'clock, and BT's going to be joining Carey Davis, I want to talk a little more football with my guy, Carey. And we're going to talk about some quarterbacks and some quarterback comparisons. And there's a quarterback, Marshy has a mystery quarterback that he likes and he wants to talk about. We'll get into that next here on 101 ESPN. Welcome back here to the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. In about 15 minutes from now, we're going to have a segment called Have You Bought Back Into the Blues? And we want your voices on this. Get to the 101 ESPN mobile app, click that little microphone, it's a mic drop thing, and let us know how you feel about the Blues right now. Have you bought back into the Blues following their recent stretch of games, the firing of Craig Berube, where the team's at right now? We want to hear from you, and we'll go over that in the 3 o'clock segment. But right now, Andrew Marsh, I'm passing the baton over to you for the quarterback discussion.
So I saw a tweet earlier today, and first let me say that this is comparing a certain quarterback to Lamar Jackson, who I believe to be the front runner for the MVP right now. This past week against the 49ers, who I think heading into the week was the best team in the NFL. I mean, he made them look like the Carolina Panthers. Yeah. He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable last week. But I saw a tweet comparing some stats to Lamar Jackson. And so I want to read these off. I'll start with Lamar Jackson's stats, and then I'll go to this undisclosed quarterback. So Lamar has passing yards. He has 3,357, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. His rushing yards are 786, and he has 5 rushing touchdowns. This undisclosed quarterback has 3,598 passing yards, 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, but only 157 rushing yards with 1 touchdown.
Okay.
So we'll play this game.
Jared Goff.
That's who I initially thought, but you know who came to mind?
Who?
Matthew Stafford.
Ooh.
You guys are both wrong.
I don't like
wrong
this game.
on here. I'll say two things that, and I'm not saying this undisclosed quarterback by any means should be the MVP,
well,
but
his numbers are better than Lamar's.
They are. Ish. So the two difference for me is obviously the rushing yards there.
Yes,
Lamar Jackson can make things happen, and we talked a week ago about Cam Newton talking about game managers and game changers.
Yeah.
And Lamar is a game changer, whereas this quarterback is not a game changer, but the stats are the stats. And the second difference is the records are completely different.
Well, that speaks volumes.
Completely different.
So then you're talking about a team. Ooh, I'm looking on this. I'm
trying to think about this too. I'm trying to think because every quarterback I'm thinking of is like injured.
No,
it might be. Who is it?
Not Patrick Mahomes.
It's not Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
It's even worse.
Really?
Okay, so let's think about this for a second.
Their record is worse.
Yes.
Than the Ravens.
Mm-hmm. They are a division leader.
Oh, it's not.
That made it.
Shaky Bakey?
It is Shaky Bakey.
Yes, the Shaky Bakey heart.
Listen, as much as now, Baker Mayfield has been playing extremely well. Mm-hmm. Like which if Anthony Stalter was here, obviously that's his favorite nickname for Baker Mayfield, Shaky Bakey. He's not a fan or hasn't been, but he's
buying in.
Is he starting to buy in?
Around and working on him.
You kind of have to when he's been performing the way that he has. I would not have expected that though.
I didn't either. So when I saw the tweet, I was like, there's no way. So I had to go on NFL.com and look at the stats.
You verified it?
I had to verify it. But, I feel like we are somewhat overlooking Baker Mayfield because of his past.
Yeah, but okay, so you're right. You're 100% right. But what did I say at the start of the year, Marshy? You're a witness to this. Anthony was too. He's not here today. Carey, I don't know if you heard that show. I know you're an avid listener. Mm-hmm. But what did I say at the start of the season with Baker Mayfield in Tampa?
You said that he was going to have a pretty good year, like a bounce-back year because of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin.
I said the players around him will make him better than he actually is. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly what's happened.
So I will actually say that Baker, in my opinion, I think we often consider Baker Mayfield and Johnny Manziel one and the same. Which is I know they're not, but I think that some people put them together in terms of mindset and attitude and how kind of the moxie that they have. Baker Mayfield is a much better quarterback than Johnny Manziel ever was. Baker Mayfield, when he came and showed up in Los Angeles and played after a couple of days in that offense and won that game, showed me a lot. He's played on some really terrible teams in Cleveland and took Cleveland to the playoffs.
Didn't have much help.
Didn't have much. Multiple head coaches, multiple offensive coordinators. Then he went to Carolina when they were trying to lose. They traded away Christian McCaffrey. They weren't trying to win. And so he goes to L.A. last year and has a pretty good run there. And when he got to Tampa, I thought, you know what, as you said, with the players that he has around him, this could be the best situation that Baker Mayfield has probably ever been in his entire NFL career. And he's playing extremely well.
So one thing that was said, I forget who said it, was on the NFL Network. They had a panel of people. It doesn't matter who said it. They said that going to the Rams may have been the best thing to happen to Baker Mayfield because they said that Sean McVay taught him how to process certain things on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
And so that he could recognize coverages. I'm speaking out my ear hole a little bit here because I don't know all the ins and outs of, I'm not going to pretend to be an NFL guy here, not with NFL Super Bowl champion standing next to me. But he said that going there, even though it was a short amount of time, really helped him.
There are certain things that certain coaches can unlock. And by that, I mean just open your mind up to something that you've never understood. I was in the NFL for 4 years before my coach, Kirby Wilson, taught me something about how to pick up blitzes and understand where they were coming from that other NFL coaches had never taught me or told me. I didn't even know. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh, my God, that makes life that much easier.
I don't put it right.
Why haven't I learned this yet? Didn't learn it in college, been in the NFL 4 years, and here I am learning this, and it makes my life that much simpler. So there are coaches that can show you certain things, and I think I do agree. Baker Mayfield and Sean McVay, the way that he understands offense and the way that he explained it to Baker, you saw it. He was only there for 2 days or 2 or 3 days and was able to pick up that offense and have success. And so it may have unlocked something in Baker, and he's having his best year that I've seen him have in his entire career.
It's fun.
Oh, Sean McVay is the best playbook. Oh.
That's one of our listeners imitating Anthony Stalter. I mean, and it's bang on. It's bang on. Okay. We're going to come back here with some mic drops. So, again, the theme for our mic drop here for this segment coming up is, have you bought back into the Blues? The 101 ESPN mobile app. Just click the little microphone, leave your mic drop. Marshy's going to go through those, and we'll get to your mic drops when we get back here on 101 ESPN. Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers, Carey Davis, Andrew Marsh. Driving the bus here. Anthony Stalter will be back soon. Don't know when, but he'll be back soon, I think. No, he'll be back. I'm just kidding. Yeah, and for those keeping track at home, the World Junior Championship is officially started. Team Canada in a nail-biter here. 10-0 over Latvia right now with 7.5 minutes left in the game.
You got a text from the 636. Canada treating Latvia like Rivs treats 11-year-olds. You had I heard about that. I was listening this morning. You went in after him. You got him?
Nothing's given in life, Carey.
And as nor should it be.
No, it happened to be my girlfriend's son.
That's life.
You know, I said, honey, this is good for him. She's like, but he's crying. I'm like, it's good for him.
Bill character.
He didn't cry. I'm just kidding. He was laughing about it. He's coming back today. We're giving him a rematch because
there you go.
Danny Mac swayed me yesterday. So did the text line. He ended up with random as a category. That's a tough one for an 11-year-old. And he still got 3 out of the 4 answers right.
So he's going to beat one of us today.
He's calling me out again.
Oh, he got you again.
He hasn't told me what category. Random is not available.
Okay.
So it'll be baseball, football, or hockey.
Nice.
I have a feeling he's going to go with hockey because he really knows a lot about hockey. But
he can't know more than you, though.
That's the thing, right? So that's the strategy. Does he go with football because he knows a lot about football too?
Okay.
Does he try and curveball on this one?
I
don't know. We'll find out. So the Gauntlet today will be at 3:45. Because I got to get out of here for 4 o'clock to be on the road, especially with the weather looking the way it is and St. Louis drivers being the way they are sometimes. Just saying. All right, so we asked you for your mic drops. Have you bought back into the Blues? Marshy, who we got up?
First off, we have Jody.
Jody, there it is, right there on the board. Thanks, Carey. I'm not used to the board being there, though. The board's usually over near Anthony. All right, this one's from Jody.
Hi, guys. I think that come from behind victory against the Blackhawks was amazing. I loved everything they did, but I am still not totally sold yet. It's going to take them beating Dallas tonight, and how about beating Colorado? That'd be pretty awesome, too. But no matter what, let's go Blues.
Well, Jody, thank you for the mic drop. I love it. Here's why I am. You've already beaten the Dallas Stars. You're down 2-0, came back to win that game. And you beat the wheels off of Colorado in Colorado. What was it, 8-3 or something like that? Something crazy?
Was it? Yeah.
I was there, Carey.
Yeah, you were there. You would know better than I would.
Yeah, I mean, although my memory's terrible, but I do think I remember that one. But either way, you've beaten both of those teams, so it's not impossible for you. They're good teams. They're at the top of your division, but as a group, you're playing better hockey right now. So we'll see. All right, we got another one here from Rick. Rick, what do you have to say?
I just don't want to get my hopes up. It'll be like the Minnesota Vikings all over again. So I'll stay on the sidelines for the Blues and hope for the best and plan for the worst. Thanks, boys. Love the show.
Yes, go Vikings. I feel like Rick that was a ricochet.
Yeah,
get it?
Take a shot at you.
Right at our guy Andrew Marsh here. Marshy, I'm sorry to hear about your Vikings.
Well, it's tough. We got a bunch of injuries going on, and
on their fourth
it is
quarterback?
what it is.
Are they on their fourth quarterback?
Well, they might start Jaron Hall this upcoming week. I actually hope they do, he was their second quarterback.
Well, he was QB2, and then Joshua Dobbs took over for him when he got hurt, and then Nick Mullins started. So Mullins is actually 4.
Yeah, but
then it sounds like they possibly go back to 2. I don't know.
That's unbelievably terrible.
That's awful.
Wow. All right, so we got a couple things to talk about here. Go ahead,
I was going to say, for me, I am a person that is cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
But with the emphasis on the cautious, right? I want to see the Blues.
So you're a doubter.
If the
emphasis is on the cautious.
The emphasis is on the cautious. That just means I am going to proceed with caution. I'm watching. I saw the game. I saw how they came back and how they fought back into that game and were able to win it. But I also have seen this team not show up and with the energy and effort for a full 60 minutes. So I would like to see it for 3, 4, 5 games in a row. That doesn't mean you have to win 3, 4, 5 games in a row. That just means you have to show up for 60 minutes with that effort and energy for 3, 4, 5 games in a row. Yeah, and then I'll be on the bandwagon.
And I don't blame you at all. And I think that's the one thing, going back to Doug Armstrong's presser when he discussed the firing of Craig Berube and the addition of interim head coach Drew Bannister, as he just said, listen, I'm not, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but basically emphasizing on the way it looks rather than the result.
Right.
And, the numbers can tell you a certain story, but when you watch enough hockey or enough football or baseball or basketball, whatever your sport is, you can usually tell when the effort is there. And you can usually tell by watching your team if they really were trying or not.
Yeah.
Regardless of the results. Sometimes you win games you shouldn't.
And sometimes you lose games you should win, but it's about, like you said, what it looks like. And when you're playing a game or when you're watching a game, you're like, they're not doing enough to win this game, and they're going to lose. Or
you
conversely,
can feel it.
You can feel it. You just know. I'm sure there were plenty of fans. We talked about it that when they got down 3 goals in the third period against the Blackhawks, all right, well, this is kind of on par for what we've seen all season.
People left, Carey. I saw them.
I don't blame them.
I saw them. I shamed them.
You didn't.
No, I didn't.
You were like, I get it.
I was like, I don't know, get to the exits, get
Go
home.
ahead, get home, beat the traffic.
And then all of a sudden they start scoring some goals. I'm like, hang on, we're back. All right, we got another mic drop here from our guy, Courtney.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Look, I'm not buying into this team.
What?
I've seen this before. I've seen it earlier this season. I've seen it last season. It's the same group of players. I don't see why anything would be different. I've seen them beat really good teams, and I've seen them lose to really bad teams. I just don't know what to expect out of this team. I've seen opposing teams target players, try to give players on the Blues the business with no repercussions, with no get back, with no fight back from the Blues. It just comes across as either they're not playing for each other or they're soft. And I don't know which one it is, but either way, it's not a good look for the team. So, new coach, same problems. New coach, same players. If a Stanley Cup winning coach couldn't turn this around, I'm sorry. I'm going to give our new coach a chance, but if Chief couldn't do it, I don't think he can either.
Well, Courtney, appreciate the mic drop. A lot to unpack in that one there. I think the main thing that I got from it, and I'm not, I don't think Courtney's wrong. Mm-hmm. Okay, there are certain things in that mic drop that I don't think Courtney's wrong. There are instances this season where the team did not look like they're going to stick up for each other, did not look like they were going to gel together, did not look like the group that maybe we thought they could be. But I will say in the last 5 games, it's been different.
Yeah.
It has been. You had the situation in Florida where Jake Neighbors gets hit, and it wasn't even a vicious hit, but the result was bad.
Right.
He gets his nose busted open because he bangs his face on the glass. Mm-hmm. Torrey Krug, who's about 5'7", 5'8", depending on the shoes he's wearing, goes up and gets in that dude's face and pops him one. Braden Shen grabs him, and then Braden Shen's telling him he's going to kick his face in, basically. And so there's been some adjustments that way. I see a group that is playing harder for each other overall right now. Now it's 5 games. Ultimately, what does this look like in 25 games or 30 games? So I can see why Courtney would be looking at it the way he is. But one thing we have to remember here is even though Craig Berube was a Stanley Cup coach and had all that success, look at how many coaches over the course of time, the well ends up drying up on them. And it's not the coach's fault. We'll blame the players. I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. But the coach still is the one who suffers, the ultimate punishment by being fired.
I don't know about you, but I'm always of the mindset that it's on the players. There are times where a coach is doing something so egregious that he does deserve to lose his job. But more times than not, as a player, you control way more than what a coach controls. All the coach does is prepare you for the game, and it's your job to execute that plan. And if you're not executing that plan, then someone's going to get fired, and it's probably him. When Courtney's talking about the team not fighting for one another, that to me, when I was seeing that earlier in the season, that was a bit problematic because you're with those guys more than you are your own family.
Oh, yeah.
Like you road trips, especially in hockey, baseball, basketball, you're on the road way more than football where it's one day and you're traveling to a different city and back home. There is no way that you cannot have a comfortable what's the word I'm looking? Comfortableness, yeah.
A comfort level?
Comfort level. That's it, what I'm looking for.
I got you.
With that teammate, with that friend, and not fight for that guy that is next to you because you're with them so much. And when they weren't doing that on the ice, that's part of the reason why I felt that they were losing. They just, it almost seemed like they didn't care enough about each other, that if you don't care enough about the guy next to you, well, why the hell do I need to go in there and do this job when that's not my business? I don't need to work that hard for this guy because that's not how I feel about him.
Yeah, and that's the ultimate sign of a losing team.
Yes.
It is. And I can't tell you enough. I can't tell you. You can't tell me. Both of us can't tell people enough how important it is to be in that locker room and looking across at the guy who's on your team, knowing they're going to go out there and do their job,
Yes.
and they've got your back.
Yes. I tell people, so Troy Polamalu is probably one of he's the greatest safeties to ever play the game, but he is a better person. And that defense, if you said something, like they were violent individuals regardless, right? They loved hitting people and harming people. But if you bothered Troy, they turned into a different pack of animals. It was like a group of just wild animals. Like, oh, you're speaking to Troy. Oh, so now we're really going to harm you. Like, we were already going to harm you, but you don't get to talk to Troy that way. And so it just, because they loved him and they loved one another that much. And you've been around teams that are like that. Like you played with Steve Eisman. There was not a person that was going to nudge or bump or speak to him in a way that you all deemed unnecessary, right? Because if you did, now
there was
you got
a tax to be paid.
you got to pay the cost.
Yeah.
So I felt like this team didn't have that. Maybe they're gaining that now, and maybe that's why they're winning.
Well, for me, in the last handful of games here, 5 games, it is a sample size. It has looked better. Mm-hmm. It has looked better. The game in Tampa was a tough one. That's a really talented team, and you just didn't play well. But the rest of the games that you have here, you've looked pretty good.
Comfortability. That's what I was looking for.
Comfortability?
Yeah. Couldn't spit it out.
It's okay, buddy.
Just wouldn't come out.
Welcome to the fast lane.
Thank you.
We have a lot of those things that happen. The wheel seize up a lot here.
Appreciate it, 314, and thanks, Dad.
You're going to fit right in, buddy. That's Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers here, Andrew Marsh working the dials. We're going to come back here with NFL Fill in the Blank on 101 ESPN. Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, 3:17. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. It's time for NFL Fill in the Blank with our guy, Marshy.
All right, we're looking towards the playoffs. We have 2 weeks left until the playoffs get underway in the NFL. So that is what this fill in the blank will revolve around. We'll start off with blank's defense will be a problem for other teams come playoff time.
Okay, all right. Wow. Carey, what do you think? Whose defense is going to be? I mean,
we saw it on Monday night. We saw it clear as day. Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the NFL, and I have been saying that all year. And for me to say it, it truly must be true. It has to be true.
And coming from a true Ravens fan, too.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Pittsburgh Steelers fan. For me to say that the Baltimore Ravens are and have been the best team all season long, it's got to be true. And we saw it Monday night. They shut down the San Francisco 49ers, turned them over 5 times, 4 turnovers by Brock Purdy. I mean, come on. They were getting after the quarterback, getting after the 49ers. And the 49ers still had some big plays offensively, but they just could not get into the end zone. And so it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I actually have no argument to that. I will add this. So for me, not that that's an obvious one, but it's kind of obvious. And to your point, we just saw it on display against one of the best, if not the best, offense in the NFL that got shut down by the Ravens defense. Let me ask you this, Carey. If, and it looks like they're going to make it, I'm trying to double check you right now, but the Cleveland Browns,
yeah,
if they get in, which it looks like they are going to get in, okay? Can that defense win them a playoff game? You know, you got Joe Flacco under center, like not Dan Marino, okay?
No, not Dan.
But you got a defense that really your defense has you at 10-5 right now.
Yeah, they are a team. I would say they scare me. Honestly, I don't know how the hell the Browns are where they are right now. They are also on their 4th quarterback. That 4th quarterback being a guy that was sitting at home watching football like you and I on Sundays. And then they called him in and said, hey, you want to play football again? And now he's starting Joe Flacco. This is their 4th quarterback that has played for them. And you lose your best player in Nick Chubb. But that defense is spectacular. I just don't know that come playoff time if they will be able to generate enough points offensively to do anything. So they don't concern me in that regard.
There's a Ravens team a while back that had a quarterback named Joe Flacco.
Yeah, he took it to the Super Bowl.
That ended up winning a Super Bowl because they had a pretty good defense.
They did have a really good defense then. That was a 10,
you see history repeating itself?
Man, that was about 10, 12 years ago. That Joe Flacco was a much younger man than the Joe Flacco we see now.
I just was trying to see
discriminating ageism, but I'm just saying he's a little bit over. Yeah, I know.
I mean, he can still throw up the ball and get a PI. I mean, that's what he's really good for, right?
Man. Oh, boy. This is a good point.
All right, moving on. Blank will blow their chance to make the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
Initially, I want to say the Buffalo Bills. That's the team that comes to mind first. I mean, and because any of the other teams, like you didn't expect the Los Angeles Rams to have as much success as they've had this year. You didn't expect it from the Seahawks, the Vikings probably, but then Kirk Cousins goes down. And then all the other teams, you probably didn't expect much from. I think the Buffalo Bills are the one team sitting there at the 6th seed right now that could potentially blow their opportunity, their chance. They got the Patriots, and then they end with the Dolphins, and kind of depends how things play out if the Dolphins actually need to play their guys in that game or if they sit them. But, that's probably the team for me.
Yeah, I can't really disagree. The only team I looked at, or the only other 2 teams I looked at, were the Rams and the Seahawks. But then I look at who's nipping at their heels. It's the Vikings, who don't have a quarterback. It's the Falcons, who don't really have a quarterback. It's the Green Bay Packers, who I don't know what the hell they are. So I just don't know if there's enough behind those 2 teams in order for them to become, the team that fails at making the playoffs. So I'm going to side with CD on this one and say that it could be the Buffalo Bills.
All right, next one we have blank will lose in the playoffs because of coaching.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Ooh. Staley's out already, so he is. as far as coaching. So
I'm going to let you go first because I got one that's going to surprise you.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you think, as good as this guy has been, he's my guy, too. He's my favorite guy.
I had the same thought.
He's my favorite guy in the world, man. Like, I would crush beers with this guy till I couldn't move anymore. Do you think Dan Campbell blows it for the Lions at some point?
I don't think it will be on Dan Campbell. I just don't think that the Lions have enough. Like, they're a really good team. I think they're a year or two away.
Like, does he get too fired up at one point?
I
make
love
a
it.
decision.
No, I love it. Like, watching Dan Campbell on the sideline, I believe it. Like, he's a tight end. He's a guy. Now, when I watch Jim Harbaugh on the sideline and he's got cleats on, you were a quarterback. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't believe that you're a tough guy because you played quarterback. You wore a red jersey all practice, bro. No one could touch you. But Dan Campbell, like, I would probably join in that beer drinking thing.
All right.
So we can get to it.
Yeah, I just worry that he's going to get so fired up and he's going to be like, let's go for it. And it's 4th and 22.
He
at
might.
their own 20.
He might.
You know, like,
it's possible. All reason goes out of his brain. Like, I'll do it. Wait, no.
That's my concern.
I agree with you, Carey. I think if they were to lose, it'd probably be because of Jared Goff's inability to protect the football.
Yeah.
I know he's very, like, sporadic with his game, so I don't know which version of Jared Goff you're going to get, especially if they're playing the Rams with Matthew Stafford.
Right.
That matchup really intrigues me, if that's what the matchup will be.
I agree. The team I was going to say, and it's probably going to be mind-blowing because we don't think of him in this way, it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh.
And the reason why I say that...
Wow, CD doesn't like Andy Reid.
No, I love Andy Reid, but I played running back. Playoffs, you run the ball and you play defense. And they have not shown an ability to catch the ball enough in Kansas City, yet they continue to keep throwing it. Isaiah Pacheco, when he's healthy, hand the ball to him. Let him get him involved in the game as much and as early as often. And if they don't, that would be the reason why I think the Kansas City Chiefs would lose. Just because their inability or unwillingness to run the ball.
It's a good observation because we talked about that for the show. Andy Reid doesn't really like to run the ball, man.
Just going to throw it, and they're not going to catch it.
Last one here.
Good point.
Blank has the best chance in the playoffs with their backup quarterback.
Oh, man. There's going to be a couple of teams that have backup quarterbacks. Like, you got Cleveland. They've got Joe Flacco. We already talked about him. Who else is in there?
Seattle. Is Geno back playing yet? Everybody else has pretty much got their starter.
Solidified.
Yeah.
You have the Colts.
The Colts.
They're not making it, though.
They might make it into the playoffs.
Gardner Minshew Magic?
Probably the Cleveland Browns.
I'm going to stick with my guy, Joe Flacco, just because all the other teams, like, that's a real drop-off.
I can't believe we are talking about Joe Flacco in 2023.
I can't either. I feel like I just woke up from a concussion.
They would play, I think right now they'd play Jacksonville, who has been on a steady decline. I could see them winning that game if that's what the matchup is.
I can easily see the Browns absolutely screwing up the Jaguars with their defense. And making life miserable for Trevor Lawrence. And all Joe Flacco has to do is just do the 3-4 yard passes. Just
dump
get him in.
Yeah.
Dump. Here you go. Here you go.
A 17-10 game. Maybe.
Terrible.
All right, we got one more?
No, that's it. That's all I got for you, gentlemen.
All right, that's fine. We got, this is going to be Carey Davis's first time ever, I believe, in the Prove Me Wrong segment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
So the law firm of Stalter and Rivers does a pretty good job. And so Prove Me Wrong is a segment where Marshy gives us a statement, and we have to prove the statement wrong.
Okay.
So even if we agree with them, we still have to be the lawyer thing. We're paid here to change your mind.
Gotcha.
So you're going to have to, well, I'm giving you a little bit of a head start here, so you put your lawyer's hat on and get ready to roll here. Okay, buddy?
Ready.
So prove me wrong when we come back here in the Fast Lane. And don't forget the Gauntlet at 3:45 today. We have a returning contestant, an 11-year-old that I beat the brakes off of yesterday looking for a rematch. That's happening here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Dallas Stars. Pregame starts at 6 o'clock. Puck drop is at 7. We'll have Jeremy Rutherford on our show today, 4:30, so stay tuned for JR, our Blues insider from The Athletic. Also, Joel Hofer is starting in between the pipes tonight for the Blues. We talked about Joel Hofer earlier in the show. If you missed any of that, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. You can find our full show there on the podcast page. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have Prove Me Wrong coming up next, so if you have a Prove Me Wrong statement you want to send to us, send it our way to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Prove Me Wrong coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong.
It's a fast lane here on 101 ESPN. It is time for Prove Me Wrong. Once again, the game where you give us a Prove Me Wrong, and we have to take the opposite side of it as the law firm today of Rivers and Davis.
Yeah.
You don't care whose name's first, do you?
Yeah,
Anthony
I'm the
gets
new
all,
guy.
he gets all pissed.
I'm the new guy. The new guy always goes last,
Anthony's
right?
always like, get me Stalter. It doesn't make sense if you go Rivers and Stalter, and I'm not. It's really bad, isn't it, Marcy?
It is pretty tough.
Like, it's wild. Like, big, tough guy, Anthony, chest hair poofed out everywhere, his gold chains. Anyways.
It's wild because R comes before S in the alphabet.
And it always will.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is what it is.
All right.
From the 636, Prove Me Wrong. The hype around the Mizzou Tigers will not last if they have a bad season next season.
So I have to. You're asking me to prove that.
Your Honor, we need a minute to clarify here. Okay.
I need to prove that it will last. Is that what I'm doing?
Yep.
Okay. All right. This is going to be. We're working here.
Your Honor, this is yours. Handing the ball off to you. The Honorable Carey Davis will be approaching this.
I will say that the Mizzou Tigers have done a great job in recruiting. We heard Eli Drinkowitz say earlier this offseason that, between bowl games and the bowl prep, that they are no longer actually recruiting. I'm paraphrasing, but they're actually selecting the kids that they want. They're able to go out and pick their pick that they want to come and play at the University of Missouri. So I have no reason to believe that they won't be as good, if not better. And then you look at their schedule. The schedule that they have for 2024 is set up for them to be playing in an SEC championship game. And if you're in the SEC championship game, obviously you're going to have 12 teams next year. You're putting yourself to be one of the top seeds in that bracket, and it's on you. So what they did this year was outstanding. They're building their program in a way that will allow them to sustain success for not only next year, but for years to come.
Yes! I'll
give it to you.
Your first victory.
I am on board with this Mizzou Tigers team. They have captured my heart in a sense. I went to 2 football games. 2 football games.
That's the most sweet he is over there.
That's the most I've ever been to for Mizzou. All right, next one from the 636. The New York Jets coach and general manager deserve another shot next season with a fully healthy Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, I disagree. You had your chance. I know Aaron Rodgers blew out his wheel in the very first, minute and a half of the game or something like that. Yeah, 4 plays in. That's a tough break.
Got sacked on, I think.
But what about the rest of your roster? What about that? You created this mess. And now you say, I got a defensive guy, got a great defense. How'd that help you under center? How'd that help you pass the football? How'd that help your offense? It didn't. It didn't. And your general manager and your coach couldn't figure out how to fix the team. Never mind now with Aaron Rodgers. Or even before that, what did they have?
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, a high draft pick. Boy, did you get that wrong. You got that one really wrong, which automatically right there you should be fired on the spot for that, especially when you got a guy who apparently was refusing to play because he was his butt hurt about not getting the starting job, and now you don't believe in me. Screw that. That's on you, coach. That's on you, GM. You didn't put the right roster together. Look at some of the other rosters around the NFL that have no quarterback right now. Look at the Cleveland Browns. Joe freaking Flacco's winning football games for these guys.
10-5.
Yeah. So what is your excuse? Aaron Rodgers? No, it's not. It's the rest of the team that you built. It's the systems that you're playing. It's your offense that you're running out there. And it certainly is the draft picks and the signings that you've made. So, no, they should go.
Very well.
That was easy.
Well hey.
Good job.
Not easy. You got to make sure we can charge a premium for this kind of lawyer.
No, I'm just saying, your argument was sound, and it made my decision easy. It was great. From the 980, prove me wrong. This one might be tough. Lamar Jackson is the best overall scrambling quarterback since Michael Vick.
Oh, Carey, this is you. You would know all, especially you were right. Yeah, this is your wheelhouse.
So, the best overall scrambling quarterback since Michael Vick. I would have to assume that this person never watched Michael Vick. Or are they including Michael Vick? Or that's gonna be hard.
Since Michael Vick.
Since.
I kind of agree with it. Oh, sorry. Sorry. So I don't agree with it.
Hang on, Your Honor.
Can we sidebar?
I request a little bit of a moment here.
Your request is granted.
Okay, I'll handle this.
Okay,
one.
you got that. Okay. All right, go ahead. You tell me who's
Don't want to know where I'm going with it.
Okay, go ahead.
This one. All right, Your Honor, we've changed counsel for this. It's within our legal parameters that based on the same legal team, we can change who, in fact, is going to be the defense attorney. And Lawyer Rivers will be taking over from here.
Thank you.
Lamar Jackson is not the best scrambling quarterback since Michael Vick. And to Carey's point, which he started to get out and then went a little sideways, Michael Vick was maybe not the best scrambling quarterback ever either. But it didn't matter because he was so athletic and so talented that you overlook some of that. But look at some of these other guys. Look at Kyler Murray. Look at that. Like, his numbers passing may not be all that great, but you put the ball in that guy's hands, good luck catching him. He's a hell of a player out there. He scrambles very well, makes big plays. Even Jalen Hurts. Look at Jalen Hurts. That's a guy. Yeah, how about the tush push? Never mind scrambling. How about an automatic first down, an automatic touchdown every time that guy gets the ball out there? So if you're telling me Lamar Jackson is the best scrambling quarterback since Michael Vick, that's a tall tale that I just can't agree with.
Well, I can't agree with what you just said.
Son of a... I tried, Carey. I tried, man. I did my best.
You did a good job, man.
Kyler Murray, you had me. I was like, you know what, Kyler Murray, I could see it. But unfortunately...
That's tougher than I thought.
If I had a little more time to prepare, I think we'd have done it.
No dice on that one. All right, from the 314, prove me wrong. Jordan Walker is overrated.
No.
Oh, you got this one? Go ahead, Carey.
I think so. So here's a young man from Georgia, and 6'5", 6'6", a young man that is going to be a stellar player for his entire career. You don't find guys like this really anywhere. I mean, you these are once in a generation type of players. Think Aaron Judge with the New York Yankees, and is he overrated? I mean, he got paid a fair amount of money to do what he does, and he does it well. And Jordan Walker, I know some people may say, oh, he doesn't feel well. He's his first year playing in that position. When you're as athletic as a young man and as young as a young man as Jordan Walker is, you're going to just get better and better. The more reps, the more opportunities you get at your position. He's going to do an outstanding job. There is no way you can consider a young man with the talent that he has overrated, because he's going to far exceed any expectations that have been placed on him and for him throughout his entire career.
Yes!
I like it.
All right, we got time for one more.
Yeah, this might play right into the gauntlet. From the 636, prove me wrong. Rivers is sleeping on the couch again tonight after he beats down on an 11-year-old.
Yeah, first of all, I don't ever sleep on the couch. That's my castle, okay? You don't like what I did that day. You don't like what I said. You're welcome to go sleep on the couch. Or you could sleep in misery beside me in the nice king-size bed that we have. There will be no sleeping on the couch. We don't give 11-year-olds free passes here in the fast lane. There's two mottos, right? One, nobody's safe, and two, we bury the bodies. We didn't say how old these people were. We didn't say what was going on. We didn't say what the circumstances were. So if and when, which is going to be coming up in a couple minutes here, Reed is looking for his rematch against me in the Gauntlet. If I could take Reed outside behind the woodshed and have my way and win that one, I'm going to do it. That's what we say here in the Fast Lane.
And I'm with you.
Yes.
Sorry, Reed.
Sorry, Reed, but now we're actually going to find out. When we come back, we've got a returning contestant, Reed. He's coming back. He's 11 years old. He's a little encyclopedia. He's a little mega mind in the making. Today, he's already called me out, and he's going to be able to pick the category to which he's withheld from me. So we're going to find out what's on Reed's mind here. We come back with the Gauntlet on 101 ESPN. Happy holidays from the Londoff Chevrolet family and team. They are the best in the business, and they're going to make sure that you are completely taken care of when it comes to your vehicle needs. And maybe you're in the market for a brand new vehicle. Londoff Chevrolet has you covered. They've got fantastic inventory, and they also have the best pre-owned inventory in all of St. Louis and area. They've got 2 locations, too. The original location right there in Florissant, Missouri. You can't miss it. We've known it for years now. It's been there forever. And they've got the new Londoff Autoplex located in St. Peters, right off of Highway 70. Again, both locations have great selection of brand new and pre-owned vehicles, and the staff is fantastic. I think that's the biggest thing. For me, I just keep coming back for more vehicles from Londoff Chevrolet because of the way they handle everything. And you guys know this. I just purchased a new Tahoe from Londoff Chevrolet, and the process was just as easy and just as satisfying as the very first vehicle I bought from Londoff over 25 years ago. Yes, that's right. I'm a Londoff customer, and I consider myself to be part of the Londoff family at this point. So please stop by the locations in person. Tell them that Jamie Rivers sent you in. If you can't do that, get there online. It's easy. Visit Londoff.com or LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Johnny Londoff Chevrolet.
categories, one challenger. Can you master the gauntlet?
Brought to you by Master, your hometown source for business communications for more than 30 years. Visit masstour.com.
Time for the Gauntlet here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis alongside Andrew Marsh and myself, Jamie Rivers. We got a returning contestant. We had just an outcry of people who hated me yesterday for beating Reed at random yesterday. So first, let's welcome back Reed. Reed, how you doing?
Good.
All right. Did you get a good night's sleep?
Yeah.
Did you take your vitamins today?
Oh, my God.
Did you eat properly?
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't want any excuses today if I beat you, you know? I don't want to have you crying like you were last night. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God.
All right, Reed, so you have declared war upon me. I know this because you told me several times that I'm the one you're going after. I'm going to leave the room, and when I leave the room, Marshy's going to take over, and he's going to spin the wheel. The wheel only has hockey or football on it today.
Right.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Reed, I'm handing you off to Marshy right now. I'm going to head over to the Cone of Silence, and then Marshy will call me back in when we're ready. Good luck, Reed.
All right.
All right, Reed, you know the drill. Before we get started, we'll go over the rules for those that do not know how the Gauntlet works. You have 4 questions. If you get the question correct without using the options, you get 2 points. If you have to use the options and you get it correct, you get 1. And, of course, if you do not get the question correct, you get 0 points. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All righty. Tell me to spin the wheel.
That wheel.
All right. Like Jamie said, we only have hockey and football today. Is there one specific one that you want?
Not really, no.
All right. How does hockey sound?
I'm up for it.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to give Carey the questions. And this is a real test because Jamie's category is hockey.
Yeah.
So if he's going to take Jamie down, it's got to be in hockey. So, all right, we have the questions. You ready to go?
Yep.
Let's do it. Question number 1. Drew Bannister played 164 games for 4 different teams in his NHL career. With which team did he play the most games?
I'm going to take the option here.
What was that?
He said he'd take the options.
The options? All right. Options are the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, or the Edmonton Oilers.
I'm going to go the Anaheim Mighty Ducks.
Final answer?
Final answer.
All right, Reed. In 2014 Olympics, TJ Oshie's memorable shootout performance was against which Russian goaltender?
I'm going to take the options here.
All right, good luck. Evgeny Nabokov, Sergei Bobrovsky, or Ilya Brizgalov? Say that last one, please.
Ilya Brizgalov.
Brizgalov. That's what I said.
I'm going to go with the second one, Sergei Bobrovsky.
Final answer?
Final answer.
All right, question number 3. Who did the Vegas Golden Knights defeat in the conference final last year to send them to the Stanley Cup final?
The Dallas Stars.
Final answer?
Final answer.
All right, Reed. 2 different Blues have 2 shorthanded goals this season. Pavel Buchnevich is one of them. Who is the other?
I think it's Robert Thomas. Final answer.
All right, let's bring Jamie back in here.
And
he's not paying attention. How you feeling, Reed?
I'm feeling good.
All right, let's see how Jamie does today. Jamie, welcome back.
Hi, guys.
The category is hockey.
Oh, boy. This is going to be a tough one. Reed knows his hockey. I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you should be, and you should pack a lunch.
Dang it.
Ooh, here we go. Question... Right. Or, Carey, do you want to do question number 1?
I'm good. I'll read them just like I did.
Okay, perfect.
Something tells me something's up here.
Question number 1. Drew Bannister played 164 games for 4 different teams in his NHL career. With which team did he play the most games?
That's a really good question. I know he played a lot of games with Anaheim and a lot of games with Tampa and some with Edmonton. I think he played the most games with the Tampa Bay Lightning just because he was their second-round pick. Going to give him a little more time to develop. I'll go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Final answer.
In the 2014 Olympics, TJ Oshie's memorable shootout performance was against which Russian goaltender?
I want to say Sergei Bobrovsky, but I'm trying to think if it was like Varlamov or... I know you're just going to give me 3 Russian names, too, so I'll just go out on a limb here. Sergei Bobrovsky, final answer.
Question number 3. Who did the Vegas Golden Knights defeat in the conference final last year to send them to the Stanley Cup final?
Oh, man. Conference final last year. Dallas? Edmonton? I feel like it might have been the Oilers. No, I think they beat the Oilers before that. Son of a batch of biscuits. Give me the options, please.
Options are the Colorado Avalanche, the Los Angeles Kings, or the Dallas Stars.
Dallas Stars, final answer.
2 different Blues have 2 shorthanded goals this season. Pavel Buchnevich is one of them. Who is the other?
Okay. I think it's Robert Thomas. Yeah. Robert Thomas, final answer. Yeah, I'm not sure of that, though. You think I'd know that, Carey?
All right, let's go over the questions. We'll start off with question number 3. Who did the Vegas Golden Knights defeat in the conference final last year to send them to the Stanley Cup final? Reed, you said the Dallas Stars. Jamie, you said the Dallas Stars. The correct answer is...
the Dallas Stars.
But... Reed didn't use the options. No. Reed is up 2-1.
Dang it.
Question number 4. 2 different Blues have 2 shorthanded goals this season. Pavel Buchnevich is one of them. Who is the other? Reed, you said Robert Thomas. Jamie, you said Robert Thomas. The correct answer is...
Alexei Toropchenko.
Oh, wow.
So it's still 2-1 with 2 questions left to go.
I just lost my job.
Question number 2. In the 2014 Olympics, TJ Oshie's memorable shootout performance was against which Russian goaltender? Reed, you said Sergei Bobrovsky.
Oh, come on.
Jamie, you said Sergei Bobrovsky. Correct answer is...
Sergei Bobrovsky.
But... Jamie did not use the options. Reed did. We are all tied up at 3.
Oh, my God.
Final question. Drew Bannister played 164 games for 4 different teams in his NHL career. With which team did he play the most games? Jamie, you did not use the options. You said the Tampa Bay Lightning. Reed did use the options, and we do know that Tampa Bay is one of the options. Reed said it was the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
That was the other team. Damn it.
If it is the Tampa Bay Lightning, Jamie is our winner. If it is the Ducks of Anaheim, Reed is a Gauntlet winner. If it is the Edmonton Oilers, we have a walk-off. The correct answer is...
the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Reed.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose. Unbelievable.
Oh, man. Rito, good work,
job,
buddy.
Reed.
All right.
Dude, that was sick. You 2 days in a row, you got 3 questions right in both of the gauntlets. That's good job, my man. Good job, buddy. We're going to have you back here again sometime. You'll probably be hosting this show at some point. Well, I'll get the phone call.
Since Jamie doesn't know question number 4.
Yeah, I'll get the phone call from John Kiowski and say, hey, Jamie, we've replaced you with a young man named Reed. He's coming in to take your job here.
Nice.
All right, buddy.
Reed.
Good job, Reed.
Good job. Go to bed, okay, would you?
3:45.
See you later, Reed. Good job, bud. All right, that was our guy, Reed. Man, he put up a good scrap, didn't he?
He did a good job.
2 days in a row.
Jamie.
Yeah.
I was glad you didn't ask for the options on the TJ Oshie question.
Oh, yeah.
There's too many consonants in those. Oh, my God.
Come on,
You want to try him again?
Evgeny Nabokov.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, I got that one. I was fine with that one. I was fine with Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
I was fine with that. It was the Ilya Brizgalov.
Oh,
way too many consonants and not enough vowels.
Brizgaddy.
I couldn't.
That guy.
Brizgaddy, yeah.
They say goaltenders are weird. That guy is a weirdo in the best way possible.
Got a great name.
Oh, man, text line hates me even more. I've never rooted for a contestant more. Jamie's never been so disappointed to win. That's true. Jamie's still a jerk, but now he's a fair, square jerk.
There you go.
Every city needs a villain. Okay. On that note, then fine. I'm just going to pack up my lunch and leave, okay?
You're out of here.
I'm out of here. I'm going to be going downtown right now to get on the Bally's broadcast tonight for the Blues game against the Dallas Stars. Handing the ball off to Carey Davis. He's going to drive the bus the rest of the way, and we're going to drag in Brad Thompson. We're going to wake him up from his nap here. He's going to be with us from 4 to 6. So coming up next here in the Fast Lane, will innings equate to wins for the Cardinals this season? We got the right guy, BT, coming at us after this, too, here on 101 ESPN. Your performance with Pure Performance, your one-stop shop for all things accessories. If you've got a Jeep, a Bronco, let me tell you that Pure Performance has accessories like you wouldn't believe. I was over there last week and saw a Jeep that came out of the back, and the lift kit that it had on it and the light kit, it was just awesome. I loved it very much. And it's not just Jeeps or Broncos. If you got an SUV or a pickup truck, maybe even a Tesla. Who knows who drives a Tesla around here? But they've got accessories for those as well. And even a minivan, they've got you covered. And it's not just the big oversized tires. They sell all tires and all wheels for you over at Pure Performance. All you have to do is drive out to St. Peter's right off of Highway 70, walk into their 25,000 square foot facility, ask for Shelby. She's the sheriff over there. You tell Shelby that Jamie Rivers sent you in. She's going to ask you what kind of vehicle you have, what the accessories are you're looking to add to your vehicle, and then she hands you off to the technicians who do an incredible job. You will love every bit of it. And when you go to pick up your truck, you will be blown away at how amazing it is, based on the performance of my people over at Pure Performance. So please stop by in person or visit them online. Visit them at pureperformance.com. That's pure, P-U-R, performance.com.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. It's Carey Davis, joined by Andrew Marsh and our great friend Brad Thompson. BT, how you doing, brother? Glad to have you on.
CD, I am doing great, my man. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Getting used to this. It's a little different.
Oh, I got to tell you, there's a few things. One, okay. I'm pretty sure that you are excited that you're not going to have to wake up as early as you've been waking up.
I am.
Two, for those that don't watch on the YouTube channel, and shame on you, you might as well be watching and listening. Any way that the Fast Lane can get more ratings, you should be doing that in every single facet. But getting used to the lighting in there is a little bit of a change. I mean, disco lights, a little bit of everywhere. I don't know if Jamie has come through with the fog machine yet. He said he's going to get one of those.
I have not seen that just yet.
I've also heard, Carey, that they're not the best for all the electrical equipment that we have in there. So maybe that is the reason. But I'm pumped up for you guys.
The mic is lighting up sometimes, or it gets a little staticky over there.
For sure. But I'm pumped up for you guys. It's already a great show, but you three together are going to be fantastic.
We're definitely looking forward to it. I have told a couple of people today, good morning. I'm so accustomed to being up at 5 a.m. that I just walk, hey, good morning. It's 2:30, sir. No, get it together. But,
you'll be fine.
It'll come with it. So the Cardinals signed 3 starters this offseason, and the question that we have, BT, is will those innings that they are hopefully going to pitch, will those equate to wins for the Cardinals? What have you thought about what the Cardinals did this offseason, and how will that help them for the 2024 season?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is I don't think that the picture is totally painted yet at this point. I don't say that meaning I believe they'll add to the front end of the rotation, but I think that they'll tinker with the bullpen a little bit, maybe a bench bat. So I mean, there's a lot of variables, Carey, as you know, that go into winning baseball. But certainly a starting rotation is a really important one. And just going off the premise, right, of the innings pitch thing, and does that equate to wins? Well, you look back at last year of innings pitched for starting pitchers. And we'll just look at the top handful of teams or so. The Seattle Mariners got the most innings out of their starters, over 901 innings. Now, they ended up falling short, but they were in it. They were in the thick of things. They had some problems offensively, but they won 88 games and fell short in their division. The Houston Astros, as we know, winning team. The Philadelphia Phillies were third. They a winning team, playoff team. The Minnesota Twins won their division. The Toronto Blue Jays were fifth. It was a weird year for the Blue Jays, and for them to actually be fifth with not having Alek Manoah is actually really shocking to me. But they won 89 games, so that put them right there in the thick of things. Then you've got the Orioles, the Brewers, and then the Rangers. So I mean, those are your top 8 teams. The Orioles won 101 games, the Brewers won the NL Central, and the Rangers won the World Series. So it's not the only variable, but I say yes, starting pitching and innings out of your starters equates to winning baseball. I think that math adds up, Carey, and it's fairly obvious, right? Your starters are out there longer. Generally, they're doing pretty well. Yeah, the hope is that they are doing well, but I've talked about it. I like the moves like everybody else. Yeah. I'd have been fine with Bill DeWitt saying, Yamamoto, here's $400 million. We like you more. I know the travel's tough into Lambert, so we'll give you a little bit more cheddar if you need it. Right. Or the idea of Blake Snell or whoever, and certainly still some pieces out on the trade market. I know we'll get into that maybe a little bit later, but I like the moves. I love the Sonny Gray move, and I like certainty, man. And that is something that bringing in Gibson, bringing in Lynn, it provides. Instead of like, I don't know, is this guy going to give me 4? And then I'm going to have to go to the bullpen, and then those guys are going to have to eat up a lot of innings. But I am interested as it's gotten all put together, and it was hot and heavy early in the offseason for the Cardinals. They signed all these guys within a handful of days. Where did you land with it, man? How did you feel about the pickups?
I was excited about it. I mean, we talked about, the rotation and really the, starting pitching and the bullpen was one of the main concerns all season long, the number of blown saves, the number of innings pitched or not being pitched, and just not enough from your starters. And I think that was one of the issues. And we heard Mozeliak talk about it. They were planning on getting 3 starters. Now, I think, Cardinal fans, obviously, when you say we're going to get 3 starters, let's get Shohei, Aaron Nola, and Yamamoto. What are we doing? That's the expectation. But I do like what they did. Miles Michaelis hopefully has a bounce-back year. He was up there in number of innings pitched, so that's good. And just having more people that are able to be able and ready and willing to do their job on a consistent basis from this starting rotation, I think will be good. The question that I have, other than the starting pitch, and obviously they went out and got that rectified to a degree, number one, do you think that they're done with that, or do you think there's still room for maybe a player in the trade market? And number two, bullpen. Like, again, we talked about the blown saves. That was something that you got your pitchers that get you to that point, but you were not able to finish it. So how do you fix that situation as well?
Yeah, I think to answer the first part, right, are they done? I think they're done via free agency. I just don't see them going out there spending a ton more money on a starting pitcher.
So Blake Snell is out.
Yeah, Blake Snell is so far out, Carey, that he's not welcome in Missouri at this point. He's so far out. I think I could end up being wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure that he's that far out. And I do think, by the way, whenever Blake Snell signs wherever it is, I think that we're going to look back at that deal, and assuming that he gets like 7 years because the market is dictating that, I don't think that the last few years are going to look so good for him. Does he help you right here, right now? Yeah, but that might end up biting a franchise at the end of it. We'll find out when it comes to Snell. I think that there's always room. I think their job is to continue to listen, continue to make phone calls, and to tinker with the roster. So I don't think that anything is out of play, and there are a lot of different rumors that have been out there for different starting pitchers. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is your 5 come opening day. I think that this is the group. Then you got your young guys that end up providing depth, or Carey, they might end up being a piece of your bullpen, like you were just asking about. Maybe it's Zach Thompson who emerges as a piece in that bullpen that you really like. One guy that I truly believe will have a big bounce-back season in the pen is Giovanni Gallegos. Yeah. That was one of the biggest issues this year, is just he struggled. I mean, he had his issues, and then obviously it came to light even more after you end up trading Jordan Hicks. Right. You trade away Chris Stratton as well to the eventual World Series champion Rangers. And I know that Chris Stratton, not a big name necessarily, he held a big role in that bullpen. Dude, you need an everyday guy. The salty vet where it's just like, you don't even have to ask him, hey, you good to go?
Taking the ball.
Yes, he's good. Yeah, he's good to go. You know that he's going to be able to be there and do that. So I think that having another piece like that is going to be important because I was a little surprised when I saw this the other day, just looking at numbers. Who led the Cardinals in appearances last year? It was Andre Palante. Wow. Was the guy that led you. And he didn't have the best year. He'd have some good times and some bad times. Just so much inconsistency. But one of the biggest keys, as you alluded to, Carey, is the fact that when you're getting innings out of your starters, you're not asking the same guys to answer the bell over and over again, and not heaping the pressure on that bullpen to cover a lot of innings. I thought that they did a very good job staff-wise. They didn't abuse anybody. It's not like the one guy I just mentioned. Palante led with outings. He had 62 games. It's not like they beat up anybody, but I think that they still had to. In not doing so, they had to heap innings on players that maybe weren't ready for those innings. So some more proven commodities in that bullpen, I think, would be very beneficial. And obviously for a lot of these guys, and Palante is a good example of this, just that another year of work under his belt, that's going to help out too. But I don't think that I'll just stick with him looking at the structure of the bullpen. I think that he is a guy that should go in, and you've got his name in the bullpen, and you've got it in pencil. And he's got a chance to Sharpie it in. Yeah. But I hope that there is enough competition in that bullpen where guys really have to fight for jobs. Carey, you've been through training camps, man. You fought for your life, and I mean that obviously in a sports sense. But you
Literally
have
as
done
well,
that.
though.
Yeah, right. Never know what you get into.
There you go.
But like those are the things in spring training that make teams, I think, very competitive and get the best out of guys. I want to see that for this team.
I definitely agree with that. I think one of the issues that the Cardinals had was the lack of flexibility last year with the bullpen, not being able to move guys around. So I want to see some of those younger guys get some opportunities as well. You know, coming up, see what they're able to do in spring training. Maybe a Graceffo, a McGreevy, Tink Hintz. I want to see. We've been hearing about these guys. Are they going to be in spring training, and will they have a real opportunity to find themselves on the roster for 24?
Yeah, it's a great question. All those guys will likely be there. We saw all of them, a year ago in spring training. The guy that I think that has a legit chance of breaking with this club in the bullpen, and things can change quickly. You can just have a hot arm, great spring. But a guy that I've heard a lot about internally that they like, and they can see him in the pen, and maybe he starts in the pen, then goes into the rotation a little bit later, is Gordon Graceffo.
Okay.
I think that he is close enough. It would be a huge shock to me if Tink Hintz ended up making that jump. I think there's still a lot of polishing yet to be done for the young Tink Hintz, but as it should be. He's like 20 years old.
Right.
So you don't expect him to be a totally finished product. But, yeah, I think that there will be opportunity for those guys. And you're right, man, that was an enormous problem last year. One is just the way that the bullpen was structured. You didn't have options on a lot of your pitchers. So these guys, you were just kind of stuck short in your bullpen sometimes. It's a crappy job, as I very well know, being like the odd man, like that last guy hanging on the roster who has options.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you did it. Hey, Brad, great job. 3 innings of relief. That was fantastic. You know what that buys you? A trip to Memphis. Enjoy Beale Street. So, like, that sucks, but that's necessary. If you want to win a championship, you want to compete for your division, you want to go out there and give yourself the best opportunity, you have to have roster flexibility, and that's something that they're going to need more of.
Indeed. That's BT. I'm Carey. The regular season for the NFL is a few weeks away from ending. We'll go into our Super Bowl pretender or contender. That's next on The Fast Lane. back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by BT and Andrew Marsh. And Marshy, it is time for Super Bowl Contender or Pretender. Real quick, over under 2 or 3 times, 2 times of me saying the Fast Lane at some point before we get out of here.
I'm
sorry. No, you
the opening drive.
Opening drive.
Opening drive.
Yeah, because I almost said it on the way out.
I'll take the over, Carey. I believe in you.
I definitely would agree with you. I'm gonna focus and lock in. All right, Marshy. Super Bowl Pretender or Contender?
All right, here we go. We'll start off with the Buffalo Bills, who are making a push late in the season. Contender or Pretender?
Carey, I gotta go. Like this year, more so than maybe any other. There is so much parity. There have been teams that have changed so much throughout the year. And the Bills were one that we came into the season with Super Bowl expectations for. Now, boy, they took those expectations and they just dumped all over them.
Yes, they did.
But they're showing some signs of life. I think that with Allen, they got a talented roster, even though they've been bit by some injuries. I still think that this team is a contender with what he can do with the ball.
I want to say Pretender, but if they get in, and they're still, not solidified with the spot, they got to win a few more games here at the end. If they get in, they are probably one of the scariest teams because of all of the talent that they do have. Now, losing Tre'Davious White earlier in the year, Matt Milano at the linebacker position, that kind of set them back at one point during the season, and you could tell that they were struggling to find their identity again. But they are a team that has made a conscious decision to run the football. And I was telling Marsh and Jamie earlier, when you run the football in the playoffs, you probably are going to win games. And if they decide to run the football with their actual running back and not their quarterback, which they've been doing lately, they're finding ways to be successful. They are the scariest team for me, so I'm going to say Contender if they get in, and I think they'll make a run there in the playoffs.
Let's look at a team that has been struggling. They did pick up a win, although it was against the New York Football Giants. The Philadelphia Eagles, are they a Super Bowl contender or pretender?
I'm going to say the same thing. I think they're a contender. I love what they do. Their offense has been putrid, I think would be a nice way of putting it. It has been stagnant all season, choppy for whatever reason. But they're another team. They need to run the football consistently. And DeAndre Swift is a difference maker. Kenneth Gainwell is a difference maker. You got to get those guys the ball. And I know they ran it pretty well against the Giants the other day, but even more. I'm greedy. I want my running backs to get more carries, more opportunities, and take some of that pressure off Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to say contender for them.
Where are you at with Jalen Hurts right now? Do you think how healthy do you think he is?
I think he's healthy. I think that how I feel about it is I love A.J. Brown. I love his game. I love what he does. But I don't love the need for chirping or always wanting the football. And I get it. Receivers, I was talking to one of my friends about that. Literally, receivers walk around with blinders on. They don't see anything outside of what's in front of them. They don't care. So a receiver wants the ball every play. You can get it to him 3 times in a row. Why didn't you get it to me 4 times? That's A.J. Brown. But it makes it difficult for a quarterback when he has to solely focus on you as much as I feel like Jalen Hurts does. So I think that's kind of what the dilemma is. Devontae Smith is a hell of a receiver on the other side. Dallas Goedert is a hell of a tight end. Get him the ball. But when you have to focus so much on A.J. Brown, because if not, he's going to be upset, I think that makes Jalen Hurts, it makes it a little bit harder for him to be as successful as he needs to be.
Yeah, you know how it is. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Indeed.
Let's stay within the NFC. I'm looking at a team that is 6th right now in the playoffs. That is the Los Angeles Rams. Super Bowl contender or pretender?
Hey, I am, and I don't like it. I'm going contender right now. Matt Stafford's playing. He's playing as good a football as it's just like under the radar, but he's playing as good a football as he ever has in his career right now. I know that it's like Puka Nacua didn't come in as everybody thought that he was going to be the guy, but all of a sudden, like you look at some of the numbers that he is putting up, and to me, Carey, this is less about the Rams overall, but it's more about the topsy-turvy nature of pretty much everybody else.
Yeah.
I think if they get in, they can bite you, and I think that legitimately you could look up and see them playing in a championship game, and who knows, man, they might have the talent on that side of the ball to win it.
I'm going to say pretender. Randy Carricker and I, before the season started, we kind of, either Randy and I and Anthony and I, we went down the Los Angeles Rams defense. And it was kind of like the movie Major League when the fans were like, who the hell are these guys?
This guy's dead.
This guy's dead. We didn't know any other names other than Aaron Donald. So the fact that they are even in this conversation speaks volumes to what they've been able to do. But I just don't think that they're good enough to make a run or make a push on the NFC side in the playoffs, especially with the teams that are sitting there ahead of them.
Very controversial team in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs, who were the Super Bowl winners last year. Can they do it again this season, or are they a pretender?
I don't know.
Carey. So generally, this goes down with the. I look at who's got the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Any field that Patrick Mahomes is on, he is the best player on the field. Generally,
yeah.
He looks like he's got his soul sucked out of him at this point. Like,
Not in
hey,
the way
you know me. Not
Yeah.
that, no, not the good way. You know that I am a huge Vegas Raiders fan. Okay,
Yeah.
didn't expect that.
That's
Didn't
62
expect to
passing
see.
yards.
Oh my gosh! Hey. Know what works, right? They
Yeah.
didn't complete a pass after the first quarter.
That was ridiculous, man. That was ridiculous. I had Devontae Adams. I'm just like, bro, throw. He's on my fantasy team. Throw him the ball. Give him a chance.
Come on.
No, it was bad. Yeah, it was
sorry
bad.
about that.
Yeah.
I think this team is a pretender this year. Look, I am going the opposite direction. I usually say, look, if you got that guy, you got a chance. That guy's not that guy right now. They got too many issues. He's checked down Charlie, and even that's not working.
The biggest issue that they have is he can't throw it and catch it. Like, that's the main issue. They have problems catching the football in Kansas City and have had that problem pretty much all season long. Kadarius Toney didn't even play last game because he's dropped so many passes over the entire season that they said, you know, you're better off just watching the game. So I am with you, BT. They are, to me, a pretender. I was telling these guys earlier, if they want to have success, they need to run the ball as well, because dropping back and throwing the ball with Patrick Mahomes that many times, Rashee Rice, trust him. Travis Kelce, trust him. Nobody else. And that's just not enough to be successful right now.
Well, Andy Reid is a very smart offensive mind, right? Why hasn't he done more of that, Carey? Because to your point, Patrick Mahomes has thrown the ball more than anybody in the NFL, the most pass attempts, obviously the most drop passes as well. It is interesting, though, the drop pass rate is only the 13th highest in the NFL. So it just kind of tells you how much he slings it around.
He does.
But, like, why isn't Andy Reid making these adjustments? Is it part of the ego of the quarterback too? Like, hey, you have to be able to massage this too.
Well, it's a stubbornness, right? It's the belief that we'll get it together because we have, and you have proof of it. They've done it throughout his entire tenure, throughout Patrick Mahomes' entire tenure. It figures itself out. It corrects itself, but it just has not corrected itself yet this year. And I told them if they don't run the football, they will be ousted, I think, pretty early in the playoffs. We got one more, Marshy?
Yep, last one here. This team, for some reason, they just can't win on the road against an actual good football team, and that would be the Dallas Cowboys. Are they a contender or pretender?
Pretender, man. For the last 30 years. What are we talking about? Next. No, I don't believe in the Dallas Cowboys. I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys. They are another team again. You'll notice a theme with me, Marshy and BT. I played running back, and I understand. I played running back in the city of Pittsburgh, fullback. Run the football and play defense. They got rid of Ezekiel Elliott. They thought he was past his prime. Ezekiel Elliott is still hurdling people in New England.
Yeah.
And Tony Pollard can't score from the 1 yard line. That's problematic for that team. And so, yeah, pretender. Dak is Dak. He's going to do what Dak does. CeeDee Lamb, love him. Oh, Michael Parsons, get after the quarterback. Oh, awesome. They're not going to make it.
No.
There. Sorry.
Carey, I want to play with that team on Madden. I don't want to be rooting for them in real life. That's kind of where I'm at with the Cowboys.
I am in agreement. They're just a team that at some point they're going to fold. Mike McCarthy has done a better job of game management and taking care of the business in that way. But all in all, they still are not good enough, in my opinion, to have a successful run here in the playoffs, and I just don't see it happening. That's all we got. That's BT. I'm Carey. Coming up next, we talk to our great friend, the Blues, are taking on the Dallas Stars tonight. Puck will drop at 7 p.m. We'll talk to our friend JR, Jeremy Rutherford, and get his takes on what the Blues have been looking like and what we can look forward to tonight. That's next on the Fast Lane.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Dallas Stars. Pregame will start at 6 o'clock. Puck drop is at 7 right here on 101 ESPN. Joel Hofer is starting between the pipes tonight for the Blues. He'll take on the Dallas Stars. The Blues defeated the Dallas Stars the last time they were at the Enterprise Center, so we're looking forward to that. And we'll talk with our guy, Jeremy Rutherford, coming up next. Our Blues insider from The Athletic, JR, on the Fast Lane, coming your way next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Finding roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Notes and nuggets. It's time for the Rutherford Report with our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. It's Carey Davis, joined by Brad Thompson and Andrew Marsh, and we go to the celebrity line and visit with our great friend, writer for The Athletic, Jeremy Rutherford. JR, how you doing, brother?
Well, I didn't block a shot with my face like Alexei Toropchenko did the other night, so I'm doing pretty well.
You're doing much better, obviously. JR, you know this. I tell people that hockey players are much tougher than football players because of that reason. I'm not taking a slap shot to the face, ever.
I've heard you say that before, and that really does mean something to me because I've seen you lay a couple licks on people, and I would not have wanted to be on the receiving end of those. So for you to say that,
I don't want to be on the receiving end of a 100-mile-per-hour puck. Doesn't sound very thrilling to me. JR, the Blues take on the Stars tonight, having some success under Drew Bannister. What have you seen from this team since the coaching change, and can we expect it to continue?
Yeah, Carey, it's a great question. 4-1 so far under Drew Bannister, and we talked to Doug Armstrong briefly this morning about what he's seen in these first 5 games, and he said, hey, you got to like the record. There's been some definite positive in what we've seen with the group, and there's been some negative. I think the positive is that they're playing on their toes. They look like they're, for the most part, most of the 4 games out of 5, good starts. They've come back in a couple games, something they haven't done all season. Third period comeback against Chicago. I mean, you can't script that any better. Down 5-2 in the third period, come back and win that game. That was a great send-off to the break. But there are some negatives. I mean, you put yourself in that 5-2 hole with some sloppy play in the first 2 periods against Chicago. And then lastly, I'll bring up the power play. I think it's, 4 for 12 under Bannister, so a few more goals than the Blues have scored on the power play all year. So that unit, after just 5 games, is starting to look a little bit better. So like Armstrong said, some positives, some negatives.
JR, as you've covered Bannister now, what is the biggest difference to you between him and Army, or what things just kind of stand out to you about the way that he goes about it? Because obviously you don't make a change unless you want something different there.
Yeah, I think just that the Blues kind of, and Armstrong knew this after the offseason when they tried to trade Torrey Krug and he exercised his veto power on that deal, that it's just going to be hard to change the roster. And maybe he'll try again this offseason, but in the meantime, his only option there was to change the coach. And so he brings in Drew Bannister. Here's a guy who's never coached in the NHL, BT, but he played in the NHL briefly, about 160 games. But like Braden Shen said when he presented Drew Bannister with the puck after that first victory against Ottawa in Drew's first game, he said, this is a guy who's been here 12 years coaching in the minor leagues and in the junior hockey leagues to get to this point. So he's put in his time. And I think when he comes in, you question what kind of accountability can he provide for the veterans. He's got a great relationship with the 11 guys from Springfield that are on the team. But what about the Braden Shens, the Justin Falks, the Torrey Krugs, the Pavel Buchneviches? Well, what did we see? We saw him bench Buchnevich with about 12 minutes to go in that game a few games ago in Tampa Bay. And so Doug Armstrong talked about that today. He said, man, if you can have that accountability at the top of your lineup, it really does trickle down to the rest of the guys. So not that Craig Berube didn't have accountability in that room. We all know he won a Stanley Cup because that's the type of coach he is. But for whatever reason, it's abundant right now as Drew Bannister comes in and tries to grab a hold of this team.
JR, you wrote an article today about Drew Bannister and his family life and the sacrifice to get to the NHL. What did you learn about him through this piece?
Well, I learned that his wife is a coach too, and not when I say coach, it's not she's just sitting on the bench, watching the teams in Thunder Bay play hockey. She's an X's and O's guru, and so when you find a successful person like you do in Drew Bannister, there's usually successful people in the background, and in this case, it's his wife, Katie Bannister. She grew up playing a little hockey, coached some hockey in college, and so the sacrifices that Drew made is the biggest thing that I learned. Back home in Thunder Bay, Ontario, is where his wife and 3 daughters, you got daughters aged 13, 11, and 8, they all live, and they made that decision about 8 years ago to have that foundation in Thunder Bay for the family to live. Meanwhile, Drew was bouncing around. He was in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. He went to the Blues affiliate in San Antonio. Then he went to Springfield, Massachusetts, and he did that without his family. So he's put in a lot of days watching live barn video of his daughters back home in Thunder Bay, a lot of phone calls, a lot of FaceTime. He was able to see them guys on Sunday in Springfield, Massachusetts for the first time since September. They sent me a picture of the big hug that the family had at the airport, and they are going to be in attendance tonight. Katie, his wife, and his 3 daughters. You have Bryn, you have Tatum, and you have Emery. They'll be wearing the Bannister jerseys, sitting in the lower bowl tonight, watching their dad coach his first NHL game.
I suggest everybody read the piece at The Athletic. It's something, JR, that we forget too much about. We forget about the human element oftentimes and the sacrifices that are in there, not just for Drew, but obviously for his wife, for his kids. It is an outstanding piece. Could you imagine some of the phone calls that he gets from his wife after the game, breaking down the X's and O's? Like, hey, why'd you do this? Why'd you put this guy on this line? Like, that is a whole different conversation than my wife's like, it didn't go well tonight, huh?
You're exactly right, Brad. And I did talk to Katie Bannister about that. And I said, so what are these phone calls like? And she said, Jeremy, look, I love the game and I'm not afraid to voice my opinion. So when he calls after the game and says, hey, what did you think? I tell him, well, this guy's got bad mannerisms. This guy can't do much with his backhand. Where was your F2? Where was your forward getting into the zone? And she said that sometimes Drew will say, okay, yeah, I agree with you, but sometimes he's like, no, I made the decision, and I think I was right. So those are definitely some different conversations.
We need more details how that goes.
He's not right. You're never right.
Ever. What are we doing here? JR, the World Championships, Junior Championships are taking place, and the Blues have a few players playing in those. Jamie was very proud because Canada was beating Latvia 10-0 last time we checked. The Blues have a few players that are currently on some rosters. What did Army say about those young players that are playing in World Juniors?
Yeah, but first, can we take it easy on Latvia? Come on,
he was excited. He was proud. He's a proud Canadian.
Yeah, did they do a running clock at the end of that game?
I would hope so. It was bad.
That's crazy. No, like I said, we did have a chance to talk to Doug Armstrong today. He actually leaves for Gothenburg, Sweden tomorrow to get to that tournament and watch the Blues prospects play. Carey, Brad, they have 7 of them. That's a big number. Usually the Blues, most teams in the NHL, if you got 2 or 3, that's a good year to watch your prospects in that tournament. But the Blues have 7 of them. That's tied with Buffalo and Arizona for the most prospects at the tournament. You're looking at names like Dalibor Dvorsky, the number 10 overall pick last year. You're also looking at Jimmy Snuggerud, who's the sophomore at University of Minnesota, who could be in a Blues uniform at the end of this season. So 7 of them to watch. I believe 5 of them are 18-year-olds from last year's draft, 5 of the 7. So those are guys who could go back to this tournament next year. It's a lot of promise for the Blues' future. You know, they made some trades. They got some draft picks. They used them on some players. And now this is kind of confirmation that these guys can play, the fact that they're in this tournament.
JR, is the hope that, I mean, you're talking about all these prospects, they're on the biggest stage, they're getting incredible just experience doing this, but this is how they want to be built, right? It's the guys they draft, they develop, it's the next level of Thomas and Kyrou that they sign to these multi-year deals. Is the farm system as strong as they want it to be right now? Are they in a good spot overall when you're looking at the future?
Yeah, I think so. And this tournament is a good indication. You know, people who maybe aren't as familiar with the tournament, okay, well, what does this mean? You know, this is the world's best junior tournament. And this is a tournament where Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas went up and won a gold medal with Team Canada. So the fact that you have 7 of them says a lot. It doesn't mean that they're all going to turn into NHL players. And the one thing, Brad, that Doug Armstrong did say today, he's been traveling a lot the last year or two. This is his 2nd trip to Sweden. He's already been to Sweden this year to watch a lot of the prospects. The one thing he said is the Blues do have a lot of forwards in the system coming up through the pipeline, not a lot of defensemen. So he wants to see these guys play. He wants to see if there's some trade chips. Maybe he can move one of these forwards or two to bring in a top defenseman. I think the Blues, prospect-wise, might have some 6-7 guys. You look at Perenovich, Tyler Tucker, those types of guys. They probably need to add a prospect who can play top forward down the road. Maybe they can use a forward or two to make a trade to make that happen.
Blues face the Dallas Stars tonight at 7 p.m. Puck drops, and we'll be talking to you next week, JR, and have some more insight on the Bannisters and the Blues. Hopefully they can keep this roll going the way they have, because it's better when they're winning than when they're losing.
Yeah, and a lesson for Drew. You're right, honey. You're right. I should have thought of that. You're right.
Indeed. He'll figure it out soon enough. Appreciate you, JR.
All right, see you guys.
That was Jeremy Rutherford joining us, and JR is awesome, man. I love JR. He's always got great insight, and he's funny as hell.
He is. He's fantastic. And the piece that he wrote at The Athletic about the family is really, really good. It's just kind of insightful. We're always locked in on the day-to-day.
Yeah, you don't realize how much time is taken away from families when you are in the role that you're in, or when you're a coach, when you have to be on the road so often, and how much you miss because you're so focused on the here and now with the athletics, but with the sports part of it. But the family part of it is what really helps you keep going day to day.
Yeah, if you don't have a rock at home, if you don't have somebody that is truly like allowing you and helping you to do what you want to do, then it doesn't work. So it takes a lot of effort. Obviously, the Bannister family has that part of it figured out, and wish him all the luck in the world, man. I didn't get to hear your take, Carey, on them letting go of Craig Berube. I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
I don't
think anyone was.
Most of St. Louis didn't seem to be a fan. At least one player seemed to like it, but it was one where it happened, right? You want the next guy to succeed. You want that guy. By the way, that player, whoever he is, has 4 goals, 4 assists in the last 5 games. But
coincidence.
Yeah, but you want him to go out there and succeed. So far, so good for Drew Bannister.
Yeah, hopefully the Blues can keep their hot streak going. Winners of 4 of their last 5. We'll see what they're able to do tonight. Coming up, we have the Sports Six-Pack. That's next on the Fast Lane.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is now.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Brad Thompson and Andrew Marsh. It's time for the Sports Six-Pack. What you got, brother?
Question number 1.
All right, this one comes from the 314. What is more likely to happen? Steven Matz goes to the bullpen or he starts the year off in the rotation?
Oh, more likely to happen? I would say that he starts the year off in the rotation. That's where they would like him to be. That's where they slated him to be. And that's where they signed him to a 4-year, $44 million deal to be. So the only move that pushes him to the bullpen is you go out there and you make an impact trade. That I think that he would be the guy that would go to the pen. I think he'd have success there. But yeah, no, he'll start in the rotation.
Is there any chance for any of those younger players to maybe have a great spring training and take over that 5th spot?
I'd be surprised. Okay. Matz's spring would have to be awful / injured. If it's injured, then it's up to anybody. But I'd be very surprised if somebody pushed him out of a rotation spot. I think that they were encouraged. I think most fans were too, even though it's I know it was a big money deal relatively. I guess now $11 million a year for a starter carry. That's a drop in the bucket.
Indeed.
But he's been oft injured, so it's hard to say anything good without getting pushback on Steven Matz. But he was throwing the ball as well as we've seen him in a Cardinals uniform, like the 6 starts before he ended up getting hurt. And I think that they're encouraged by that and want to see a little bit more of that.
Question number 2.
From the 217, which is more painful for Detroit fans, watching the Lions go winless in years past or the Pistons now having the 2 longest losing streaks in NBA history?
I'm going to have to go with 0-16 because you know how hard it is to go 0-16?
Any given Sunday, Carey,
It's almost impossible because it's only been done one time. That was a terrible year for the Detroit Lions. I had a teammate that actually came over from the Lions after going in that 0-16 team and won the Super Bowl with us the next year. And it was pretty different, I would assume, from one year to the next for him. Losing 27 games in a row, now that's not great. But to lose at least the Pistons have won 2 games this year. They have tasted victory at least twice. The Lions didn't win any. So losing 16 games for me would be unbearable. I would be a terrible teammate.
Yeah, no, look, I'm with you on that. After about week 6 or 7, you're looking at boy, this isn't coming together.
Yeah.
But could you imagine going to the arena night in, night out, losing 27 in a row?
No.
Don't you just go on a heater one night? There's a good chance you're not getting the opposition's best bolt every single time you're out there if you're the Pistons. How the hell do you not scrape one together?
Well, BT, Marshy and I were looking at a video. We were talking about a video earlier this week that showed the Pistons in warm-ups, and they missed every shot. It was about 30 seconds worth. I don't think that there are any heaters to be had there. It just doesn't feel like, and this is multiple people shooting. This is not one person shooting. It was about 8 guys. It was a bunch of shots missed. So that kind of explains everything you need to know.
You borrow the term oftentimes. You're either coaching it or you're allowing it. What is happening, or that's all you have on your roster? Is that just what it is?
That's probably all you got, and you got to go. What else can you do? Where are you going to get more NBA players from that are going to be better than what you have right now? Maybe you could, actually.
Open tryout?
Yeah, I just thought about possibly. There's some people in Detroit walking the streets that could probably get a bucket or 2.
They'll give you everything. They'll give you every bit of it.
Question number 3.
All right, guys, from the 314, what is worse, Jack Jones of the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, BT's Las Vegas Raiders, giving the ball to a kid and then taking it away from him, or Pete Alonso throwing Mason Wynn's first hit ball into the stands? What is worse?
having a child involved, like giving it to a kid and taking it back.
Yeah, that's bad.
That one's probably the worst one. Pete Alonso is a big dumb animal, it seems like. And I know he said afterwards, like, boy, I didn't even know. He knew. Like, I mean, you had to know. But I'm going to go with the Jack Jones. And I'm sure I don't have the whole story on that. But come on. You going to pull a full-on Grinch there on the kid? Not cool.
So I'm torn. Because the young man looked to have Kansas City Chiefs gear on. And I think that as a young person, you have to learn valuable lessons in life. And I'm all for it. So sometimes in life, you have to be given something or thought you were going to receive something and then have it taken away. That's the only way you learn your core principles in life and you become a better person because of it. Because life isn't fair. It ain't fair. And to learn that at, this kid's what, 8? To learn it at 6 to 8 years old is much better than learning it at 26 or 28 years old, right? He will remember that for the rest of his life.
You know what? Carey, the way that you laid that out is perfect. I think that is great. It's like there are consequences to your action.
There you go.
Your action was to wear that jersey, represent your team, and look, their job is to beat your team, and it's still bad. I mean, it's still a kid.
It is.
On Christmas, nonetheless.
I think so.
Jack Jones did tweet out that there was a guy that was sitting behind the kid who tried to reach for the ball. That's why he took it away. He then also posted a picture of him with the Grinch on his face and posted it on Instagram, which I found to be hilarious. So
even better. Yep.
So
I did it. It is what it is.
Question number 4.
All right, this question comes from the 314. Carey, what is one team in the NFL that you would have liked to play for? And I'll even open up that question to you, BT. Which MLB team would you have wished you played for? Like just another team, not taking away from the Steelers or the Cards or the Royals.
There are two teams. It would have been the 49ers because I grew up a huge 49ers fan. Roger Craig, Tom Rathman, Jerry Rice. Obviously, those guys were outstanding to me. But I would have loved to play for the Rams. I would have loved to be able to come here and play in the city where I'm from. And now it would have been a headache because I played one game here and had to buy 45 tickets. But I would have loved playing here 8 times a year in front of my family and friends and been able to do that.
I think that's great. I mean, there's nothing better, I'm sure, than getting an opportunity to play in your hometown. As you know, growing up in Las Vegas, now it's a booming sports city, but it wasn't when I was growing up, so never had that opportunity. And some young kid who grew up in Vegas will have that opportunity soon with the A's coming that way. Mine would be, if I had to pick one, another iconic franchise. It's not the Yankees, though. It's the Dodgers. I think that, and again, West Coast guy, right? Growing up in Vegas, LA was 4 hours away, the closest team to you, and there's something about that place, something about going into Chavez Ravine. It's not in a nice neighborhood. The stadium is old, but the place just rocks. I think that is the one if I had to pick another one.
According to Ben Verlander, Shohei was the greatest signing in Dodgers history. You could have been hanging with him. I guess he just forgot about Jackie Robinson.
Maybe one or something.
That was intriguing.
That's
hard to beat. Hard to beat that.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my gosh, I saw that on Twitter and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Justin looking at him like, "Man, what are you doing?"
So hey, you still have time to fix that. You can.
Well, you say something like that, it's like you kind of got
to roll with it at that point.
Yeah.
Double down. Don't back out.
Do you ever do? I've done this plenty of times. Like where I say something and then somebody brings up like a point that is like so valid.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what's done is done. Like I did this. This is my stance now, and I'm going to live with these consequences.
I'm here now. It is what it is. I made the decision. I'm standing by it. This is a wrong and dumbass decision, but he's sticking with it. It seems it is what it is. That's BT. I'm Carey. Coming up next, we have what's trending on the fast lane. Next, 101 ESPN.
It's time to find out what's going on in the sports world with What's Trending Now. Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate a car and get tickets to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Brad Thompson, I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for What's Trending. And gentlemen, Jair Alexander of the Green Bay Packers has been suspended 3 days after he anointed himself as one of the Green Bay Packers captains. And then he made what Matt LaFleur called a big mistake. He nearly botched the call after winning the coin toss. They said the conduct was detrimental to the team. BT, I don't know if you saw what happened. We talked about this in the office, but Jair Alexander, once they won the toss, instead of saying right away, we want to defer and give the ball to who were they playing again? It was
the Panthers.
The Panthers. Give the ball to the Panthers, start off the game, and get the ball back in the second half. He said we want to go on defense, which would mean that they would give the ball to the Panthers, but also not receive the ball in the second half. Yeah. And now he's being suspended. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
There's probably a reason he was never at the coin toss before. Probably not trusted. I think it's weird. It is selfish, and I think I saw that the reason he wanted to do that is because he's from Carolina. So I guess he wanted to be out there for that. I think that's a conversation that you have with the coach and your team prior to actually just going out there on your own.
You don't do that.
You shouldn't do that.
There is no scenario where you just take that into your own hands, especially if you have no idea what you're supposed to say or do.
Like that is no clue.
That is the dumbest damn thing maybe I have ever heard.
I've been around sports for a long time, and I don't think I've ever heard that.
No.
What? I imagine when he's walking out there, people, what is he doing? You just assume that he got clearance from the coach that he can go ahead and go do that. And then you realize he has no earthly idea of what he's doing or whether or not he should be deferring or receiving. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah, look, not to make light of head injuries, okay, but I'd rather have heard that he took a shot right before the game started and he just wandered out there. That would make a little bit more sense than what he did.
Yeah, that wasn't a good decision. And he's facing the punishment for it. But he only got suspended for 3 days. So, did they say 3 days, or did they say
a game, right?
Yeah,
I think one.
Yeah,
is it one game,
which is interesting because their season is on the line. On the line. They're taking on Minnesota. In the past, Jair Alexander has said, whether or not you believe he did this or not, that he's locked up Justin Jefferson. So it's interesting to see that happen with Green Bay having their season on the line next week. Sunday Night Football, a big matchup. So I think, to me, it shows how much they value him on the field at this point in the season.
Yeah,
so,
it was a dumb decision, though. Didn't do that.
Sticking with the NFL, perhaps not a dumb decision. We talked about this earlier in the show. BT, want to get your thoughts on Mr.
Unlimited.
Russell Wilson, boy, being benched. What are your thoughts, BT?
Well, look, the fact that we've gotten here with Russell Wilson when he's in the first or second year of this deal that he's got, that they're worried about a $37 million guarantee if he gets hurt. It's crazy how things have fallen off to this point. I don't know if we should blame Mr. Unlimited as soon as that happened, or Sierra, or did everything just fall apart for him. But it's crazy that the Broncos went out there. For the longest time, they've never been able to get that position right. And Carey, damn it, they thought they had their guy. It's like, certainly, we're going to go get Russell Wilson. We're going to spend big money, and it's going to work. And then it doesn't work at all, even as you bring Sean Payton in. I don't know what to make out of it, but you played in the NFL, so certainly you could figure that out for me, Carey.
I don't know. I mean, it's clear to me that they have no intentions that they don't want him to play the rest of this year. And you don't bench your starting quarterback if you believe he can help your team at any point, whether it's now or in the future. I think it's going to be a tough road ahead for Mr. Wilson. Now, we got to see how the cap hit works, if they are willing to move on from him and have to have that money on their cap in terms of the cap hit. But it was intriguing when I saw that news come down that he would not be starting and he would no longer be starting for the rest of the season. I don't know. But I was telling these guys, we saw him and Sean Payton. Well, actually, we saw Sean Payton blowing up at him a few days ago, a few games ago. And so this move, I guess, isn't surprising, but at the same time, it's a little strange because he's been paid a lot of money to play football and not going to play.
He is fairly limited at this point.
Guys, I saw this today. The Giants, according to John Heyman, MLB Network insider, are big game hunting. They are in on Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger, and Matt Chapman. If they were to land, let's say 1, 2, or even 3 of these guys, how does that change the outlook of not only the National League West, but the National League as a whole?
Still hard to put anybody over what the Dodgers have done to this point, really, in bringing over Glass now, Yamamoto. The lineup with 3 Hall of Famers right there in the middle of it is pretty impressive. My thing is with the Giants now, Carey and Marshy, they don't land any of the big game that they're looking for. They damn near had Arson Judge, almost had him, but they didn't get him. They didn't get Correa. They haven't got any of the arms that they're looking to land. I don't know what they're who is giving their final pitch to these free agents, but boy, that has not gone incredibly well. But this is a team a couple of years ago that beat out the Dodgers in the division. All of the analytics went right for them. If they land 1 or 2 of their guys, I would love to see the competition over there in the West, but I just don't believe that they'll do it.
I think it was Ken Rosenthal that wrote an article a couple of weeks ago talking about they have a city problem in San Francisco, meaning the city, the cost of living, the homeless population, all of the things that are going wrong with the city is what's keeping those free agents from signing there. I mean, if you have an option of L.A. or San Francisco and you're going to be paying the same amount,
right?
Why would you choose San Francisco? No offense to
Is
those
everything
guys.
thriving in L.A. right now, too?
It's probably thriving. San Francisco costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it does.
And it's not it's just a city that I think is going in the wrong direction. Yeah, so I think that's been more of the problem. So I wonder if they're going to have to eventually overpay what some other organizations would pay for a guy in order to get him to sign.
That's a good point, and it's one they've shown in the past the ability to do that, to pony up the cash. But man, just landing that guy has been elusive. And right now too, if you're a player and you're picking between some of those teams, the Dodgers give you a better chance to win, and have historically been there a little bit more. Even though you've rattled off some more championships in the last couple of decades, they have a talented team. They've got some good pitching, but boy. That is not a good spot they've been in.
What is the draw to go to San Francisco?
Alcatraz.
No, I don't think that's what gets people going.
But if I'm a player, if I'm being offered X amount of money to play in the NL West, or I'm being offered X amount of money to play, wherever else, do I want to be in the same division as the Dodgers, who are a juggernaut at this point?
Probably not. Not if you want to win a championship. Now, if you want to get paid a lot of money, yeah, you probably would. But if your ultimate goal is to have an opportunity to win the division, put yourself in a position to win a championship, I don't know, BT. Would that be, if you had an option to go to NL West and compete against those guys, or go elsewhere with a chance to win a championship for the same amount of money, where are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to go somewhere where I feel like I have a good chance of winning. Now, the pitch is going to be important, too, if you're the Giants. Say, hey, we plan on knocking off the Dodgers, and you're going to be a huge part of it. We're going to bring in somebody else, and they're going to end up being part of it. It wouldn't surprise me if they land maybe one guy. Blake Snell, it wouldn't surprise me if they get him. I believe Blake Snell is from Seattle. Seattle's not going to pony up the money to bring him in. That's about as close as you're going to get there, San Francisco, in terms of being out on the West Coast. So maybe they land him, but I don't think that's going to be the difference maker.
That's BT. I'm Carey. That's Marshy. Coming up next, the Cardinals have signed 3 pitchers, and maybe they're done in free agency, but potentially in the trade market, there are some names that have been mentioned. We'll ask who you would rather have. We'll talk about it next on the opening, the Fast Lane. Oh, I almost had it. Welcome back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Brad Thompson and Andrew Marsh. And the Cardinals did a pretty good job with their offseason signings, bringing in 3 pitchers. But some people still feel and believe that maybe there needs to be one more addition, an ace, some would say, so to speak. So, BT, we got a few names here, and I want to know, which one would you rather have? So
okay.
So we got Dylan Cease.
I'll take him.
Framber Valdez.
Oh, yeah.
Logan Gilbert.
Give it to me.
All 3.
Carey, 1, 2, 3. All right, so those are 3 good names. So you gave Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, and Logan Gilbert as the 3 names.
Yes.
I would be shocked if 2 of those 3 names end up getting dealt.
Okay.
Like, that's the one. Like, so Dylan Cease, everybody knows the White Sox are in a very big transition right now. Dylan Cease is a hot commodity. Second in the Cy Young 2 years ago. A little bit of a down season for him. He was down a tick in his velocity, but he has been durable. He's 27 years old, and again, 2 years of control for Dylan Cease. I could absolutely see the White Sox shipping him off in a huge deal to build for the future. Like, that one makes sense to me, and if I'm any team, I'm in on Dylan Cease. I personally wouldn't be worried about the down year last year. You know how hard it is, Carey, sometimes to thrive in a bad situation. It seems like the White Sox were a very bad situation top to bottom last year, so that wouldn't concern me. So he'll get dealt, and if the Cardinals were in on him, that would be great. Would love them to be in on him. Now, as we've had conversations in the past with the guys, that's going to cost a lot. That's going to cost you big bats. That's going to cost you some of your future. Are you robbing Peter to pay Paul? Don't know. Don't know the answer to that. But Framber Valdez, why the hell would the Astros trade him? Like, why would that be a thing? I was pretty surprised to hear some Framber Valdez rumors going on, because really, you look at him and he's likely to be, give it another year, Justin Verlander's out of there. That's the ace for the Astros. The Astros aren't a team that is in a rebuild. Are they? Or are they a team that's trying to pawn off some potential cash? Where are they at, Carey?
I don't think so. I mean, they were, one game away from playing in the World Series? I don't think you are a team that is looking to rebuild at that point. And that name to me is also another one. I mean, he's a world champion, two-time All-Star, has finished top 10 in the Cy Young voting twice in his career. I would be surprised if he's moved at all if you're the Houston Astros. I don't know why you would move him. Yeah, and I don't know why his name is being rumored as potentially on the move.
What I do understand is, and most of the reading that I've seen hasn't been as much of the Astros are shopping him. It's more so they are fielding calls on Framber Valdez.
That's not the same.
Well, I think that any team, when you have a pitcher with a couple of years left, like I would call, I'd be like, hey, how you feel about Framber? And then I would expect them to just be like, oh, yeah, we're not moving him. Yeah. Shut up. Maybe we can talk about somebody else if you really want to. But I don't know. If they are moving him, there's a couple of things. If they are thinking about moving him, one, they believe that they might just get a lion's share that could change their franchise. They believe in Christian Javier and Hunter Brown and J.P. France, all the other guys in their rotation behind Verlander, that they're strong enough to do that. Now, I don't believe that they're strong enough to do that, but maybe they do. The other one is financially, when he's going into his third year. I think he's one of those lucky guys that gets a fourth year of arbitration, so he'll get arbitration 3, then arbitration 4 in 2025. So maybe they're looking at it and say, okay, well, he made $6 million or something this year. I don't know if we're at the point. I don't know where they are at luxury tax-wise, Carey, but if you're looking to cut some cost, maybe that's some of it there. That doesn't seem like a move a World Series roster would be making.
I don't think so.
The third one is he's hurt and I don't want him, because like that's the only other one, and really like a lingering injury or something that is floating there is the only thing that would make sense that I would be fielding calls on that guy.
Got you. And so out of those three, if you had to pick one, not regardless of if you think the team is going to trade him, 1, 2, 3, which one would you rather have first?
I think I'll take Logan Gilbert first. I'm going to take the youngest guy in the mix. He's got elite stuff. I think that he's still learning on the job, and another guy that you have great, you have control of contractually. He has great control himself. He's got swing and miss stuff and doesn't walk a lot of guys. I think that he could also keep your defense busy. The way that he goes, he pitches quickly. I like him. I mean, that would be my pick. Who would you take if you had to pick out of those three?
I have been on the Dylan Cease bandwagon for a long time, and we talked about, not a great year, but when you're playing for a not good team, you tend to kind of fall in line with what's going on with everyone else. I thought that he would be the name that if they were to go in that direction, Dylan Cease would be the one for me. I never even considered Framber Valdez, because why would you?
He is not going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, there's no way. So let me ask you this. So in a deal for Dylan Cease right now, Carey, if knowing that you have to give up things to get things, who on this major league roster, I want to to get into like prospects. Who are you not giving up?
Who am I not giving? Okay, that's easy. That's better.
Or who do you believe that it might take to get this deal done that you don't want to give up?
I think it takes Nolan Gorman, and I think that's the starting point for any conversations for a Dylan Cease. And I do not want to give that up for Dylan Cease, but I understand because one thing people always assume, well, we can give up a bag of baseballs and the third starter down in Memphis, and they'll take him.
Give him Paul DeYoung.
Why wouldn't they? Needing a short. No, they don't want him. They want people that are going to help them win, not people that you don't want either. So it's always going to be a situation where it's something that's going to hurt to give up. To get something that you really want in return. And I think on the Major League roster, it would be a Nolan Gorman. I don't think the Cardinals, this is my opinion, I don't think they would be willing to part with Mason Wynn or Jordan Walker or Paul Goldschmidt or Nolan Arenado. But because you have some depth at that position, because he's also a DH, and you could probably see Wilson Contreras playing more DH if Herrera is behind the plate. It would make the most sense for the Cardinals and for the White Sox to want Nolan Gorman.
So let me ask this. Do you believe, and let's say we know that there would be other pieces involved in a deal like this, but let's just call it a 1-for-1 right now. If Dylan Cease was on the Cardinals and he was starting opening day or maybe the second game before you're behind Sonny Gray, I don't care where he is, but I expect him to make 32 starts like he has the last 3 years. If he is on the Cardinals and Nolan Gorman is on the White Sox, are the Cardinals better than they were?
Yes. I mean,
they're better with Cease and not go. And
I
no
think
Gorman.
so. I think because the lineup that they have. I love the pieces that they have for the lineup. I love the hitters, and the only thing I would love more is them playing in the same spot every day. But other than that, I think they have a lot to work with there. The struggles that they had last year was pitching, and we saw how bad it could get, how quickly because of the pitching and lack thereof. And so I think that they definitely win. They definitely don't lose 91 games if Dylan Cease is in this rotation next year. Is more so than if Nolan Gorman is.
See, I'm really torn on this one because the way that I look at it is the impact of the everyday player.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a guy that last year he ended up in only 119 games, which honestly is something that you should be a little bit fearful about when you're thinking about it.
That's the other concern.
23-year-old dealing with a bad back, right?
Yeah.
Get it. I get it. But in those 119 games, he hit 27 bombs, he hit 17 doubles, and he's got monster pop from the left side, something that you definitely need in this lineup. It would be so difficult for me to pull the trigger.
What is your comparison? What's your ceiling for Nolan Gorman? Is he Kyle Schwarber, better, average, or
I think
similar?
I think Schwarber is such a fantastic comp.
That's
for
how
him.
I see him.
But I think. Yeah, but I think that Gorman has a little bit more bat-to-ball skill.
Yeah.
So there might be some more raw power there with Kyle Schwarber. I think that Kyle will end up hitting more home runs. But it wouldn't shock me at all if Gorman had a 40-plus home run year next year. He hit 27 this year in 119 games. Tell me he's not going to go on a heater and hit some more than that? I love that comp.
That's who I see him as. But the concern, as you said, anytime you've played a long time, you played a long time, you've been around guys, anytime you deal with back injuries. I had a doctor tell me my back was killing me, and he was like, hey, you might need surgery, but I advise against it because with back surgery and back injuries, it's 50-50, man. I can't tell you which way it's going to go. And
I don't know
scary.
if we talked about this. I had the back surgery before I even played a minor league game with the Cardinals. So I signed with the Cardinals out of junior college, and I was working out in the offseason, getting ready for spring training, and I was doing like a leg press, and I had way too much weight on it, went way too deep, and just felt felt a pop in the back. I tried to rehab it, ended up having to have surgery on 2 levels. And it was just a microdiscectomy. It wasn't a bad surgery. Didn't have to get anything fused or anything. But walking into spring training, I was like, nobody wanted to touch me. They didn't want to let me do anything. I'm here, I'm ready. They're like, no, we're going to have to get a little bit more clearance. Like, had I not pitched really well quickly, I'd have been in some big-time trouble. And it was something that every year of my career, like, there was always something.
Yeah.
Like it would pop up, and then I would just act like I wasn't hurt, but it's almost debilitating when you get there. So moving forward with Gorman, though, that is going to be something they're going to have to, first of all, like, he and his, he's got a team of people back home in Arizona. He's got trainers. They're working on things. The Cardinals give him stuff. Hey, this is where we believe that you're weak from any of your strength stuff. These are areas where you need to be more flexible.
Right.
That's on him to get all those things dialed in. But during the season, they're going to have to be super diligent about how they deploy him. He's not going to be a guy that plays 155 games for you. That's just not going to be it. You got to figure out ways, as you mentioned, to use that DH spot. And even though he's going to be playing at 24 next year, you're going to have to get him off his feet. You're going to have to figure out he's a big kid. He's got to figure out ways to get him off his feet, and when he's out there, he'll be impactful.
That's the concern for me. That's one of the scariest things. You talk about being injured and not showing that you're injured. That's one of the worst pains you can deal with. And walking through and not wanting anyone to know, oh, this isn't great, but I'm going to go. That's awful.
All right, guys, let's go.
That's Brad Thompson. I'm Carey Davis. Andrew Marsh is here. Coming up next, we have the biggest question of the day. That's next on The Fast Lane.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues take on the Stars tonight. Right after the show, we have our pregame starting at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Of course, you can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. We talked earlier today with Blues insider from The Athletic, Jeremy Rutherford. If you missed that interview, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. Again, it is free. Head to the podcast page. You'll find all of our interviews and the full show. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have our biggest question of the day coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's time for the Fast Lane's biggest question of the day.
It's the Fast Lane. I'm joined by Brad Thompson, Andrew Marsh. I'm Carey Davis, and it is time for the biggest question of the day. Marshy, what you got for us, brother?
All right, guys. So the Blues are on a bit of a roll right now. And one of the big things we've been looking at this past week is the benching of Pavel Buchnevich and his response to that benching, the accountability that Drew Bannister has shown so far. I like it. I like it a lot. And the way that Buchnevich responded, I thought was very positive for this team moving forward. The question I have is, what is the difference between what Buchnevich did and his response and what we saw early on in April with Tyler O'Neill and Ollie Marmol, and how that season sort of, I don't want to say crumbled, but it kind of did. And I don't want to say it's because of that moment, but what do you think the differences are between the two situations?
I would say that the season, Carey. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, the season definitely did not crumble because of Tyler O'Neill.
Right. Try telling the text line that.
That is for sure. And the handling of that situation, the response of the two players were definitely different. I appreciated Booch's response of he's right, and then he goes out and has a couple of points the next game. Like, there are times the Tyler O'Neill situation. I'm not in his body, so I don't know what he was feeling. I know what my eyes saw. My eyes saw a guy that wasn't running 100%. Yeah. Like, that's what my eyes saw, but it is what it is. That's water under the bridge. The handling of it, and it was very evident. Like, I don't think that you have to be like a mind reader, like psychology, like to know that if Ollie Marmol said those things publicly, Carey, how many times do you think those conversations have been had privately?
Too many times. Yeah, we've had that conversation over and over again.
And there's also a good chance that you had veteran members of the ball club that were upset with it as well. Yep. And I bet some of those comments were actually ran through them as well.
I agree. I think the biggest difference, Marshy, is professionalism and maturity. I think Buchnevich went through what he went through, and he came out and said, you know what, I can't take those dumb penalties. I took 3 of them. I put our team in a position to not have success. And Tyler O'Neill, unfortunately, didn't receive it in the same way. He took it as more so, I'm the fall guy for something, but you made a mistake. Like, we have seen Tyler O'Neill run at full speed, and that ain't it, bro.
So fast.
That ain't it. Yeah. So you're not going to be able to tell me what my eyes have seen and are seeing at this moment. You're not running as fast as you possibly can. So the mature, professional way to handle that is to say, I messed up. I didn't run as hard as I could have. Whatever the reason be, I didn't want to pop a hammy because these things are tight. Whatever the case may be, come out and say, you know what, I'll be better. I let my teammates down. I didn't do my job well enough. It's on me. I'll be better next game. And that's the end of it. We never hear anything else about it. But when you respond in a way that I think he responded, or not taking responsibility or accountability, then you have more questions than answers at that moment.
Yeah, Carey, I think the hard part, too, is the one in listening to the comments from Tyler O'Neill afterwards. One of them, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, but one of them was talking about, I'm trying to stay out here for 162 games.
Yeah.
Like the self-preservation, which I get it, okay? I wholeheartedly understand. You have one body, you have one opportunity in this game to make money and to set up your family for the future, and you want to do those things. But I think that those things, and again, everybody's different, those things happen when you're not thinking about it.
Right.
When you're thinking about just going out there and playing hard, because Tyler O'Neill, and it will not surprise me at all if he goes to Boston and tears it up, because he's got that skill set. He's got speed, he's got power, he's got athleticism. What he doesn't have is the ability to stay on the field, or at least he has not proven the ability to stay on the field. I feel like when you get worried about some of the wrong things, then you're not being able to put out your best product. And for him, it's obviously he takes care of his body. I don't think that there's a huge issue there. Now, he might be a little too tightly strung.
Wound too tight.
A little bit something else. But it was very evident a couple of years ago after his great season in 2021. He was disappointed that they weren't able to lock up a long-term deal. That got in his head. Then they had the lockout by the owners. Then he went to arbitration and lost. Like, there were just a couple of hits in a row for Tyler, and I think that those got things spinning on him mentally, and I feel like they weighed on him. And that's one of the hardest parts, Carey, as you very well know, of being a professional is you are going to take some hits.
Yes.
And you're going to take some losses along the way. And if you let those continue to pile up, they will topple you at some point.
Yeah, I think, you spoke about it. The talent obviously is there. You saw it. He top 10 in MVP voting, 2-time Gold Glove winner. He has the ability to do anything and everything on a baseball field. But I wanted to ask you this because you mentioned it, the arbitration hearing. How does that impact a player when you have to hear? It's essentially they're telling you why we're not going to pay you money. Like you're not this, you're not that, you're not good enough for this. We don't like you here. We love you, but we don't think you do this well. Like you're hearing all of the negative things about yourself. Now go play baseball and be the best you can be. Wait, what? You don't even like me as much as I think you do. Why the hell do I have to give that much effort? So I wonder if all of those things encompassing and knowing that you have a history of being injured, just kind of got to him and it impacted him in a way that he probably didn't want it to, but it definitely did.
Yeah, that arbitration process is a really tough one. Then you get the pat on the ass on the way out. Now go get him. We are counting on you. Yeah, we need you.
Do you?
Even though I had a comp of a bunch of players that are terrible, and I said we're better than you.
Yes.
Don't even worry about any of that stuff. No, the business side of it, that does suck, and that part of it sucks. Remember, it was Corbin Burns who came out of his arbitration case with the Brewers, and he hated everybody after that. So you're going to sit there and tell me how bad I am and then expect me to go out there and try to deal for you, one of the best pitchers in baseball? Like, there's got to be a little bit of tact in
It's got to be a better way of
that.
handling that, doesn't it?
For sure. Or just don't show up. But your agent is going to tell you everything that was said there.
Get you a
because
third party.
He is, yes. But it is, the system is set up the way that it is, and the hope is that you end up building a culture, and I know that this is something that Ollie Marmol and his staff have been doing and continue to try to do, where it is the we are greater than I.
Yeah.
It's like, if you go out and worry about winning baseball, if you just go out there and worry about what do I need to do to win this game today, your individual stats are going to be there. You are going to be able to put up those numbers.
It's going to work itself out. I tell people this all the time, and you've been on championship teams. You understand it. When you really love and care about the man that's next to you and you're willing to, you might be a little bit sore. You might not be your best at this moment, but you're not going to let him down. And I think that's the thing about professional sports that I didn't give a damn what my coaches thought. Like, I truly didn't. I cared about what the man next to me thought about me, because if he thought that I would run through a brick wall for him, then he would do the same for me. If he thought highly of me as a teammate, as a player, as a man, that's all that mattered. My teammates and my peers, the people I play against, those people matter, because coaches, you're never going to be good enough or do enough. They're always trying to find someone to replace you. But your peers, the people next to you, truly know what you're going through and how hard it is to be successful at that level.
Well, I think that probably resonates with a lot of people. Like, they care that their coworkers know that they're putting in everything that they can. Yeah, your boss is always going to come up, Carey, with some TPS report, asking if you've seen that thing. But there's a good chance you've seen it. You've got a copy of the memo. But that is important. You want to be out there, and you want to be able to be a great teammate, be accountable, and at the end of the day, win together. I don't think that there's any better feeling, at least professionally, than winning and coming together as a team. And that's something that I hope both the Blues under Drew Bannister now, who have been very good, and again, they are on tonight. You'll hear it right here on 101 ESPN. I hope they're able to build that. I hope that Ollie is able to continue to build that with his group. But you need guys that are all in. You need guys that are in the bullpen saying, give me the ball. You need guys that are, you don't have to go hold their hand first. You can put them in the lineup. Like, that's what you need. And unfortunately, we're going in a direction now just overall where there's a lot more hand-holding than probably needs to be.
I hate to be that old guy, but
I'm there too. Back in my day.
I hate it, but it's so true. Just do your job, man. Just do it.
Well, why do you want me to do it like that? Jesus. You see that baseball? You take it, you throw it to that guy 60 feet 6 inches away, and then when I call on you again, do it again. And you're going to be rich, filthy freaking rich, if you just do that.
Yeah, not that hard. It's pretty simple. That was your biggest question of the day. Coming up next, we have our What You Missed and compliments, criticisms, and your text of the day. That'll be next on 101 ESPN. Welcome back to the Fast Lane. It's Carey Davis, joined by BT and Marshy. And what you missed today, Joel Hofer will be getting the start tonight versus the Dallas Stars. We talked about which quarterback you may be overlooking this season. Marshy had a pretty interesting take on that one. Baker Mayfield is one of the quarterbacks that he was referring to. Prove me wrong, where I finally figured out how the game is actually played. It was a tough one, BT. I lost one. it was tough. It's very difficult.
Did you go the wrong direction? Did you?
I really agreed with them. It was tough.
Oh no, you're not supposed to do that.
It was not easy.
Look, you take a stance and you run with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to be on the island.
I was not. It was Lamar Jackson and best scrambling quarterback since Michael Vick, and I didn't have anyone better. And so I kind of agreed. It's a tough one.
That was tough, but obviously Johnny Manziel was a guy that could take the ball. He could run and gun. And this is how you lie. You just come up with something.
I like that. Jamie got a victory again in the Gauntlet versus the 11-year-old that he beat yesterday. It was more of a fair and square fight this time. Yeah, it was an 11.
He beat an 11-year-old?
Yeah, 2 days in a row. He's probably proud of it, but maybe not.
Come on, we're fighting children now? I
love it. And then we talked about, would you rather have Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, or Logan Gilbert? And we all agree. Yes, and yes. So, Marsha, what you got for criticism, compliments, and our text of the day?
Yeah, so we'll start off with the 636. This is directed, from the 618. Let's start with that one. This one's directed towards you, Carey. We just received the greatest gift, you on the Fast Lane.
Oh, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am going to enjoy, well, first of all, I have to be honest, I'm going to enjoy not waking up at 5 a.m. This is the best part of the joining the Fast Lane is not waking up that early. I will enjoy that. But no, it's going to be great when Anthony gets back. Marcia, you're awesome. BT, you're joining us every now and then, filling in. And Jamie, that's my guy. We might have, I'm going to drop the gloves with Jamie at some point just to get a little tussle in, just because every now and then you need that in your system. It just feels good, and then we can have a beer afterwards.
Just good, clean fun.
Good, clean fun. That's my guy.
No, you are going to be a perfect addition. As you very well know, Carey, years ago, we fought hard to have you be the third guy in the Fast Lane. It ended up being a few years later, but, good things come to those who wait. So it's going to be fun listening to you guys.
Definitely.
We got a message from the Snake Pit from Droid. What a combo of former players on today's show. CD, BT, and Jamie Rivers. It does say JR, but we don't want to get confused with Jeremy Rutherford, who was also on today's show. That is championship material.
Well, the former players is the key word of that, the key part of that comment. Former. Because I have no desire to run into any linebackers. I'm sure, BT, you have no desire to face any batters in the batter's box. I don't think that's something that we want to do anymore. How's the shoulder feeling?
Carey, we're on Zoom right now. You can see me. We're on YouTube. During the last commercial break, I walked to the restroom. You could probably see me limp. Just had knee surgery last week. I don't need to be doing any competing at this point. I miss the camaraderie of it.
Yes.
Luckily, we get a lot of that in this job.
Yeah.
And certainly get a lot of it, getting a chance to call the Cardinal games. I love that part of it. I love being around the ballpark. I love just being around the guys. That is a lot of fun. But the whole physically competing right now, don't need that. But I miss it. I miss the competition. I don't have anything in my life that is like when the bullpen phone would ring. I don't have anything that spikes the adrenaline like that. But I just know I can't do it anymore, and there's something freeing about that.
It does feel good.
We got a text from Thanks Dad, which is always fun to read. BT, you were talking earlier about just promoting the show in general, and we appreciate our listeners doing that as well, because Thanks Dad texted in, I write the text line number in bathroom stalls.
Well done.
Yes, that is, you know what? I thought that was like a forgotten art. But I have been into a few places for a good time text. And then there it was. 314-399-9646.
Please do.
So I appreciate Thanks, Dad.
All right, we got a text from Jamie's Vacation Speedo. First of all, it's more of a two-part right here. What does Carey think of Speedos? Does he know that his co-host loves them? Also, love Carey joining the show.
Well, I follow, Jamie and I are Facebook friends. I'm pretty sure I've seen said Speedo on a few pictures, and to each his own. I'm not a Speedo guy. That's just not my thing, but I also do not judge those that prefer to wear Speedos.
Yeah, it's a comfort thing for him.
Yeah.
And apparently that's it.
We got a text from the 618. Great show today. CD's football insights are wonderful. Welcome, Carey Davis.
Appreciate that. Thank you. It's going to be fun.
So when is the official first day?
Whatever January.
Whatever day anybody gets back when you actually have a real show.
When we're all here at once. That'll be the day.
All right, last one here.
The Air Comfort Service text of the day.
All right, this one is great because this one is a last-minute addition for text of the day. From the 618, Jamie is like Kramer on that Seinfeld episode when he joins a karate class and beats up on a bunch of little kids.
Yeah,
I can see that. I can see Jamie do it. I got to tell you something, Carey. I don't know if you are. I'm not a Seinfeld guy.
I've seen a few. I've watched some episodes. Kramer is odd.
He's funny.
Yeah, he's
a funny character.
Definitely different. So,
but the concept of him beating up children and Jamie doing the same thing, that hits, literally.
Jamie enjoyed it. I think we all. There's a life lesson to be learned from children when you are able to beat them down. It's awesome. They have to learn.
Yes, I don't let my kids beat me at anything. There are times my wife's like, hey, just let him win. I go, no, he's not going to learn it. My dad kicked my ass at everything until I was in high school.
Indeed.
I'm tired of it.
Indeed. That's BT. I'm Carey. Coming up, we have the Blues will be taking on the Stars tonight. Puck drops at 7 p.m. You can catch the pregame here at 6 p.m. Joey Vitale, Chris Kerber. That's coming up next. Till tomorrow, we will see you, St. Louis. Have a great night.